Treadmill is a go. I'm having some issues with the desk, but I walked for 7 glorious minutes, which doesn't bode well for Perloff saying I'm never going to use this treadmill.
The treadmill will never work. How could you possibly enjoy the football games when you're on a treadmill, Maggie?
I was walking at a high speed. I was checking out the levels, but I'm not going to sit on my butt for 12 hours straight.
You are going to sit on your butt for 12 hours straight. Cut to week 7. You're just going to be sitting there. There's going to be nacho cheese dripping down your face, balancing the nachos on your stomach as we do on the couch. You'd be like, oh, yeah, there's the treadmill. I forgot about that. By the time Dak Prescott gets back on the field, there will be shirts hanging on that treadmill. No exercise will be done on that. I guarantee it.
Here are Maggie and Perloff.
It's an uncomfortable place to be, but here I am defending the Lakers after an abominable game yesterday. What up? You're welcome. Welcome into Maggie and Perloff. Happy to have you. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, across the country on CBS Sports Radio. This is an odd place to be for me, Perloff, defending the Lakers after they throw up a major stinker last night. But
wait, you defend LeBron all the time.
Well, LeBron, but that's a whole planet. He's like a whole solar system. No.
Yeah, so what's unusual about defending the Lakers? Just defending Anthony Davis feels uncomfortable right now?
It does. It's an odd place to be. I can't really defend like the individual performance, but what I can defend is that I picked Lakers in 6, and I'm going to stay on it because this was the most predictable loss. And to me, it actually doesn't matter how you lose game 2. Everyone knew they were going to lose game 2. I don't love that basically teams are doing load management in the second round of the playoffs. I think that's ridiculous. But here we are. And them losing this game means absolutely nothing. So whether you lose by 20 or 40, it doesn't matter. And that's how I find myself defending the Lakers today.
Yeah, I agree with you on part of it, that this is a situation where the home team always wins. When the better seed loses the first game at home, they always win. Going back, I think it's happened 6 times in NBA history where they didn't win this game. So it rarely.
Very rare, yeah.
Very rare.
16 in a row.
Yeah.
16 times in a row.
Yeah, going back the last 2 seasons. Yeah. So I think, though, I was watching the Warriors last time. I'm like, oh, my gosh, this is the same team that won the finals last year. It's the same exact way they won the finals. They're just going to be relentless, and they're just going to come at you and come at you and come at you, and eventually they're going to wear you down, and they're going to have that gigantic scoring blizzard. Used to be the third quarter. I guess they're not as good in the third quarter anymore. They're going to do the same thing. Yeah, but you can match up all day. Eventually, the Warriors are going to wear out whoever they're playing, and they're going to go on some huge run and win the series. It's just how it is.
Okay, but I can also make a case that the Anthony Davis usually has 1 to 2 bad games in a series. You can withstand 1 to 2 bad games. Like, even against the Warriors, you can withstand 1 to 2 bad games. The role players, besides Hachimura, who's like suddenly the most incredible postseason player, everyone, all the role players had bad games. And the other thing I didn't like what the Lakers did, and it was rather predictable, is that we all know this. I love LeBron James, but when he hits a couple threes in the first half, he starts falling in love with the three-pointer, and eventually it just like ends up kind of going away. Now, he barely played in the second half, and that was another part. You didn't even really see like the full-on effort because teams now wave the white flag so quickly after they, take home court advantage and after they won game 1.
Right. All that's very true. But the problem is, even if Anthony Davis has another 30-point game, that doesn't guarantee anything for the Lakers because the Warriors were tired in game 1. They probably would have won that game if they were fresh. They were coming off a 7-game series, and they basically had a deep three from Jordan Poole to tie the game at the very end. Yeah. And that was a tired Warriors team. So the Lakers really had everything go right in game 1 and just barely won. I think they might win this next game, but at some point, Golden State's going to figure them out. And I think Steve Kerr kind of figured them out last night by putting Draymond Green on Anthony Davis. Much better matchup than Looney, who is mysteriously ill, by the way. I don't totally understand that.
He had a sickness, so that means you can play 20 minutes? It's like you're either in or out to me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But if I put the series like this, Maggie, to you, okay, who's going to win the mental war between Draymond Green and Anthony Davis? What would your answer be?
Anthony Davis.
Mental war.
No, he's as steady as they come.
He's steady as that he's going to go up and down every game? That's the opposite of steady.
No, not the numbers, but mentally, he never shows any frustration on the court. He never is like that guy who's wearing his emotions on his sleeve. Anthony Davis, sometimes you're wondering, hey, are you awake? Are you in a coma? But Draymond, All you need is something to happen to set him off. And if the Lakers get under his skin, what's going to happen? He can go cross the line, and then he's going to be looking at another suspension. So if I'm like the Lakers, I'm trying to get into Draymond's head. I'm trying to make that mental part of it. Anthony Davis, he barely talks trash.
Well, I'm just saying, yes, and that's exactly why he's inconsistent every game, because he's not emotionally up to this task. He never has been. They won one in the bubble. There's just no way he can.
Remember, the Warriors didn't make it to the bubble.
If Draymond gets into his confidence, there's no way he's going to recover, because that's who Anthony Davis is. He's one good game, one bad game. He'll maybe have 3 good games. I just don't think at the end of the day, Draymond knows how to win these series. I think he's one of the smartest players in the league easily, and I just think the last night you saw, I got it. I got Anthony Davis.
Okay. Draymond had a great game last night. He played excellent defense on Anthony Davis. But if you're asking me who's going to Jedi mind trick this more, is it going to be the Lakers and LeBron James or Draymond Green?
Oh, definitely the Warriors. Mentally, the Warriors have half the talent of the Lakers, and they're probably going to win this series. They are such a winning machine. They win with their heads, where the Lakers have talent, but they are not.
Wait, how many Hall of Famers are on the Warriors and how many are on the Lakers?
Okay, well, there's definitely one with LeBron.
Yes.
Probably 2 with Anthony Davis.
Okay. I mean, what he did in college.
Probably 3 with Rui Hachimura.
Yeah, sure. Darvin Ham, future Hall of Fame coach. Not if he keeps doing this. No, but I'm looking at the Warriors, and you're telling me Steve Kerr's going to be a Hall of Fame coach. You've got Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. They're all walking in. How can you say the Lakers are the more talented roster?
Because
they're about even.
The Warriors have 3 guys, or they put out a whole unit that's between 6'2" and 6'5".
Well, they love that. It's the death lineup. They've been doing that for years.
Coming off the bus, the Lakers are clearly the more talented.
Now they got JaMychal Green as the secret weapon here with some size underneath. I know.
So, I mean, come on. You're telling me that the Lakers are gigantic. They have all these high picks all over the place. I mean, they're definitely more talented, but the Warriors just do everything right. They know how to win.
No, I get it. They know how to win, but it's so funny that we're talking about the mental side of this. Like,
what are you talking about? That's all basketball is.
But who do you expect to keep their cool? The Lakers or Draymond Green?
But I can't believe that you think that Anthony Davis has a mental edge over Draymond Green. Because I think Draymond Green is the mental edge over everybody. You're right; he might cross the line, but he is his game is physically. He shouldn't even be a starter in the NBA, and here he is being a Hall of Famer.
No, that's because he's skilled and he has desire and all of that.
He's a 6'5" center. He shouldn't even be on the court.
Who is Draymond Green's biggest enemy? Draymond Green. Right. He's his own worst enemy. So I cannot vouch for the mental toughness of Draymond Green when he's cost his team at times because he's lost his cool. So if you're asking me who's going to stay like level-headed, listen, with Davis, maybe you'd love to see a little bit more emotion. Maybe you want to see a little more of the intensity. But again, you know you're going to get a bad Anthony Davis game. Hopefully for the Lakers, this was it last night. Because if he's even, 50% of what he was in game 1, they're going to have their hands full. And by the way, maybe some more Lakers players can hit a shot. I mean, Austin Reeves was 1 for 5. D'Angelo Russell 0 for 3 from 3.
Well, I mean, last night, as you said, doesn't count. Once it started going downhill, it didn't really matter. Yeah,
so you're picking the Warriors now.
I'm picking the Warriors. Wow. And, I mean, listen, they're the higher seed. Why do you think they've won all these years? You really think it's because they have all this Hall of Fame talent?
I mean, we're talking about Steph Curry possibly, piercing this like new level of NBA, legacy that he had previously not been in. Like, if you're going to put him on the same stratosphere as LeBron James in terms of how good he is, contribution to the game, whatever it is, then yeah, I think it's been the otherworldly talent of Steph Curry. It's been the talent of Klay Thompson, who was hitting threes from all over the place last night. It's been Draymond, and it's been this system and Steve Kerr, this like beautiful basketball that they play.
Beautiful, you're going right to a beautiful mind.
Yeah. So that doesn't mean mental toughness. That means their system.
But it certainly isn't. Oh, they're dunking on everyone's head. You kind of just said it. It's a beautiful mental team. They play basketball the right way. They pass the ball. They do everything right, and that to me is more mental than physical.
Okay, that's like we're splitting hairs here. You're talking about smarts and basketball smarts, and I'm talking about Draymond Green has the ability to blow things up at any time.
Yeah, but
that's not mental toughness.
He's so much more mentally tough than Anthony Davis. I mean, he is so much tougher.
Well, we're saying this now coming off of a game when he schooled him. I don't know if we would have said that coming off of game 1.
I think we would. Okay, the only thing, you're right. Draymond Green can go too far, but he definitely, like, I see Draymond Green talking to Anthony Davis, and I'm Darvin Ham, I immediately run in there to separate them because I do not want Draymond Green getting in his head. Because Draymond is like, he's like a successful Jordan Poole. He doesn't, he doesn't have the physical skills to hang with Anthony Davis. If you put the two of them on a court and played one-on-one, Anthony Davis would beat him 11-0. But I think Draymond Green makes up for it with savvy.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227.
Oh, I said Jordan Poole or Jordan Brooks? Jordan Brooks.
Oh, I thought you said Jordan Poole. I was like, ouch. I mean, the guy just got paid.
Dylan Brooks?
Dylan Brooks.
Dylan Brooks. Got it. I have Jordan Poole in mind. Yeah, so Dylan Brooks tried to do this to LeBron, get in his head and be smart, but he just couldn't back it up. Draymond is like that. He's an irritant. He's an agitator.
I know, but I would argue that that's backfired on Draymond a lot of times.
It's also worked a lot of times.
Well,
I think it's been one of the keys to his Hall of Fame career.
We will see about that. You're welcome to get involved with the show. If you'd like to give us a call, you can, as I mentioned, 855-212-4CBS. You can also watch the show, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, where I am very proud to announce that we have added 169, subscribers since yesterday. It hasn't even been a full 24 hours. We just need this kind of energy, guys, and I'm going to tell you why. Why is this important? By the way, you can always listen to us on our incredible affiliates. We're on a different mission now. Perloff has had a Carson Wentz Philadelphia Eagles poster behind him for the last, when did you bring that in?
About 6 months ago.
It's bothering the hell out of everybody because it's just Carson Wentz and the Eagles is just the worst vibes ever. Yeah. And you have Jalen Hurts now. You just went to the Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts just got paid.
I'm well aware of this.
Wentz is just like, he's a bad mojo, bad memory.
So I'm well aware of all that. That's the reason that my parents forced me to take it out of their house. And then they put it in my apartment. Then I'm like, I can't have this in my apartment. I can't have a Carson Wentz. Then for some reason, I just brought it in today, and it just fits beautifully in the studio. And it drives everyone crazy. And like Draymond Green, I like getting in everyone's head. Okay,
so what we've decided is that we're going to let the people be the arbiter here. You guys are going to get to decide what happens with the Carson Wentz poster. And if we get 1,000 new subscribers by the end of the NBA Finals, we will destroy the Carson Wentz poster live here on the show.
Like LeBron style, LeBron jersey style in Cleveland? Is that what we're talking about?
I mean, yes. Like, we don't care. Fire hazards, just be damned. Like, we're going to go totally ham on this Carson Wentz poster, and you get to be a part of it. If we can just get those 1,000 subscribers, and we've had 169 since yesterday, if we can just keep up this energy, tell a friend, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. Let's take this Carson Wentz poster and just blow it out into the sun.
And you're allowed to have all your Fred Jackson and Buffalo Bill stuff around, and I can't have a few Eagles things?
I mean, I'm all in favor of you having a Jalen Hurts poster. I'd even do Embiid. Iverson, you're wearing the sweatshirt today. I've shown you I'm fine with Philly stuff. It's just Wentz. You can't be presiding and lording over the show.
Okay,
he sucks.
I'm sorry, Wentz. Well, first of all, let's not be mean. I mean, he's a very talented NFL football player.
Okay, sorry, he flamed out.
Okay. You have a Mets jersey with Maggie written on it, a Rangers jersey with gray.
Those were gifts.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, who likes those teams?
Well, that's neither here nor there. I don't.
You have a freaking Nets jersey there.
That was a gift from the Nets.
Okay.
They understood. I was a little.
I have the lovable Vikings and the lovable. Is that a Mighty Ducks jersey? What is that one over there?
I assume that was a gift also.
Do we
I thought it was a San Jose Sharks jersey.
It's one of those two. I can't see it. Right? Yeah, that looks like a Sharks jersey.
How do you not know your jerseys?
Why would the Sharks have given me a jersey? I can't recall any.
Why would the Mighty Ducks have given you a jersey?
That's another good question.
All right, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227.
Wait, hold on. Okay, vamp for a second.
I guess it's Ducks. I'm supposed to vamp for a second?
I think it's Ducks. The logo on the shoulder looks like a Ducks logo.
It's the Ducks. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That's a great sweater.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, that was a gift from our friends in L.A., but, I guess I should know the team. That would be
details. Help us on our journey here. Let's just get rid of this Carson Wentz poster in a real epic way. If not, it's going to lord over
Still
the studio.
need 850 more subscribers. We'll
There we
see.
go.
If not, it sits here until the football season.
What?
Jeez.
Hey, Carson
It's like
Wentz
5 months away.
What if he's unsigned? What if he signs with the Bills or something like that?
I would renounce my fandom. No, I'm just kidding. Listen, I've been through some horrible years and some terrible quarterbacks. Carson Wentz can't hurt me.
It was cursed Rob Johnson yesterday, so.
Yeah, he and I have a history. No, I'm just kidding. Me as a 10-year-old fan and him playing, we have a history.
Yeah, you guys already have a backup, Kyle Allen, right? Yeah. So
I wish it was Case, our buddy Case Keenum.
And Stu's got a backup. EJ, who's your football team?
JETS, baby.
Oh, so this is why EJ's been such a good mood.
Oh, actually, the Jets could use a real backup.
You got Tim Boyle.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I don't think Tim Boyle's played much.
No, Zach Wilson is the backup. He's QB2.
It's a rough state of affairs, my friend.
It's better than him being QB1.
Technically true. But would you rather have Carson Wentz as your QB2 or Zach Wilson?
No, I'd rather have Zach Wilson.
You're insane.
I'd rather have Zach Wilson.
I'll take him as Jimmy G's backup when he inevitably gets hurt after 4 weeks.
Yeah,
who's the Raiders' backup, actually?
Probably Aiden O'Connell that they drafted, I'm guessing.
Oh, 4th rounder, right?
Yeah.
Oh, the Raiders could. Carson Wentz is out there.
Yeah, that's who you want to bring into the locker room. No, listen, you're right. Wentz might be a good option for Stu's Raiders.
Yeah, we're talking backups here. Backups?
Okay, so we got a lot on the table for you today. I'm not blaming the Lakers for what happened last night. I still think they win the series in 6. Perloff thinks the momentum is now shifted to the Warriors. What say you? 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, coming up, the one NFL question we have after the draft. Had some exciting things going on the West Coast yesterday. So we'll get to that in just a moment. Don't move. More Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
What a great day to be a Philadelphia sports fan, Maggie. 10 years ago today, Allen Iverson accepted his MVP trophy and scored 52 points in a playoff game against, 22 years ago today against Toronto. 52 points. And I'm wearing my Iverson jersey if you're on the YouTube page. And, of course, if you subscribe to the CBS Sports Radio YouTube page and we get up to 1,000 new subscribers.
Yep. By the end of the finals.
By the end of the finals, I will let you take down the Carson Wentz poster that's behind me, and we can move on. Now,
No. We're not just taking it down.
Oh, yeah, we're destroying it.
We're destroying it.
So
on the live stream for everyone to enjoy.
I don't want people to think that I'm a gigantic Carson Wentz fan or anything. I'm a gigantic Jalen Hurts fan, but Carson Wentz, everybody in Philadelphia can't stand. We'll probably get a lot of support from Philadelphia, but I do think that maybe he's not as bad as you think he is. And that leads segue.
Not a chance. Yes.
Segue, go
ahead.
There's another quarterback in the West Coast who I think is better than you think he is, Maggie, and his name is Sam Darnold. Now, I understand yesterday the San Francisco 49ers took a field trip to the Warriors-Lakers game.
Yeah, we saw. They were all over TNT. Although I didn't see Darnold there.
That's because they did not show him. I think it was ESPN last night, right? And so... yeah, they did not show Darnold. They talked about the football team, and they did not mention that Sam Darnold was there with George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey. And then today, longtime San Francisco reporter Matt Maioka said that he believes Sam Darnold has the best arm of any San Francisco 49er quarterback, wait for it, ever.
That...
People can't hear your mystification on the radio.
Sorry, I just got blown back into the wall.
He's got a strong arm.
Better than Joe Montana?
Well, Joe Montana had no arm.
No, I know, but that's just...
Give me somebody. I mean, Young, you could argue, but Young's arm was okay.
I was going to say Steve Young or Joe Montana. I'd rather have their arm than Sam Darnold's arm.
But do they have bigger arms than Sam Darnold?
I mean, what are we doing?
Trey Lance actually has a much bigger arm than Sam Darnold.
I was going to say Trey Lance is on his own team. Doesn't Lance have a bigger arm?
Yes, although with Lance, he just throws the ball way too hard.
Here's the thing about Darnold. First of all, it's not probably great for Trey Lance that Sam Darnold is there with them at the game. I'm just going to say that doesn't really bode well. I'm not blaming Trey Lance for this at all. And if he was at the game last night, I apologize because I don't want to unfairly paint this. But if the stars on the team, like McCaffrey and Kittle, are already gravitating more towards Darnold, that's another rough moment for Trey Lance, right?
Well, I mean, I think Trey Lance's bigger problem as the coaching staff is in deep infatuation with Brock Purdy.
Well,
even yesterday they talked about Purdy glowingly. The GM about how he's going to be throwing in 2 weeks and everything looks amazing for Brock Purdy.
That's wishful thinking.
The coaches love Brock Purdy. I think the team loves Trey Lance, too. He was very popular last year. I guess after he got hurt, he was in every quarterback meeting for the rest of the season. Whatever. Trey Lance has bigger problems than who's at a basketball game.
Well, think about it. Remember, they basically sent Jimmy G away.
Yeah.
They had banished Jimmy G.
Yeah.
because Trey Lance was supposed to be the guy, and then he got hurt, and they had to bring him back.
Here's the reality.
It's easier for him to be a leader then.
Here's the reality you have to wrap your head around, Maggie.
What's that?
Sam Darnold is going to win a playoff game for the San Francisco 49ers.
Think so.
No, who's going to play this year? Purdy will play.
Yeah.
Trey Lance will play, and Sam Darnold will play. And they will alternate who gets hurt and who shows up when. Because all 49ers quarterbacks get hurt. But Darnold is good enough to win on that team because that system is so good.
Yeah.
There's so much talent. Heck, you could put Deebo Samuel at quarterback, and he'd probably win a game or two. I think this is an amazing setup for him. And I believe he's only 25 years old.
Yeah, Darnold's always been really, really young.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
And he had a million different coaches, a million different coordinators.
Listen.
There's a little bit of Geno Smith here. He could pick it up because I think he has some talent.
Okay, well, not Geno Smith because he didn't fall in the draft. He was taken third overall. So he's going to have.
I'd say he could fail with the Jets and come back later with someone else.
Listen, Sam Darnold, there's no two ways about it. That dude was given a raw deal. Raw deal. He came in. Todd Bowles was his coach. He actually didn't have a terrible rookie year. Missed a couple games, I believe, because of an ankle injury. And then they fired Bowles, and they brought in Adam Gase, and it was rough. I mean, the first year actually wasn't as bad as people remember, but it got really bad. He had fights with the front office, and no one was on the same page
as he
there.
Should.
Well, about the Le'Veon Bell signing and all this stuff. No one was on the same page. And Darnold's development definitely took a hit. And what also didn't help Darnold is as he is basically cratering in New York with EJ's Jets, the Patriots are still the Patriots. Josh Allen started rising, and he was also in that same draft. And he started, his star started going up, and it just made it even worse for Darnold because it was so pronounced. Listen, he's not even the worst guy from that draft class. Josh Rosen is like the bust from the draft class. I mean, it's just rough. Even Baker Mayfield won a playoff game. Darnold has just been put in a bad situation. Yeah. May I also say this?
Yeah.
He was a bad quarterback here.
Nah, I don't know.
He was a bad quarterback, and he wasn't good when he went to Carolina either.
I'm telling you right now, he's going to win in San Francisco.
Well, you're right about the fact they have so much talent. Okay, let's do this here because we've been trying to do this for a while, and we haven't gotten to it, and we should. About which division winners from last year look most vulnerable this year.
Okay, let me pull up last year's standings here.
Okay, yep. To go ahead and do that. We're going to need that for this segment. Yes. I think that San Francisco, talented roster, super talented. But if they don't get the quarterback situation figured out, I think Seattle could end up winning that division. So I would put San Francisco as a potentially vulnerable division winner from last year. What do you think?
I think, of course they're potentially, but I think they're way safer than a bunch of other of these
Okay,
teams.
what do you got?
Well, I mean, obviously, there's some that are obvious. You're not putting San Francisco with Tampa Bay. I mean, Tampa Bay just lost Tom Brady, so they're out. Minnesota is a heavy underdog to the Detroit Lions. So I think they're out. The Eagles have the Cowboys in the back of the heels. So I think I think the Eagles are in a tougher spot than the Niners. Don't you think? Or would you say the Eagles are in better place?
Listen, you both have a team that I think is legitimately going to win games. Dallas is probably better than Seattle.
9-8 last year and had to just barely beat the Rams in Week 18 to get into the playoffs. I don't know that they're anywhere near where the Cowboys are.
No, they're not near the Cowboys, but
I'd like to see it. I love Geno, but
no, I think the defense is definitely better in Dallas for sure.
Yeah.
And I think, listen, the NFC East, you guys just beat each other up all the time.
Then the one safest one seems like the Kansas City Chiefs. Anyone going to knock them off?
I don't think so. Barring any injuries, I don't see. Have the Chargers really meaningfully upgraded this offseason? Stu's Raiders, by adding Jimmy Garoppolo, you're shaking your head, Stu. And then the Denver Broncos added Sean Payton. Is that enough to win the division? And they had a nice free agency.
Not that division. A normal division, maybe. I just think, the only vulnerable ones. And then in the AFC, the Bills are vulnerable.
I think the Bills are vulnerable.
But the Bengals a little vulnerable. What do you think?
Definitely vulnerable.
A lot of competition there.
Definitely vulnerable. I think the Bengals certainly meaningfully upgraded their roster too, but so did the Ravens. And those are always just dogfights. And I think the Steelers had this really sneaky good draft, and they're a good team.
Yeah, and then what about Jacksonville? Seems like they're really safe, although that's an odd division, so you never know what's going to happen. Yeah, as far as the odds go, by the way, the biggest favorite are the Jags at -150. Then the Niners are minus 150, and the Chiefs are minus 160. So those are the three big-time favorites. The Niners are coming, Maggie. Sam Darnold is going to be in your house. Sam Darnold's going to be in your house. Or Trey Lance or Brock Purdy, one of those two. Or Debo lining up a quarterback.
Yeah.
It does not matter.
More power to him.
They drafted a kicker. He'll line up a quarterback. It's all coming at you, Maggie.
I'd wish him nothing but the best. I'm just saying I don't really see it. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Let's go to Anthony. Wants to get back to the Lakers-Warriors series. Still feeling good about your Lakers, Anthony?
Yeah, I feel real good. Maggie, I agree with you. Lakers in 6 might be 5. And, Perloff, you always pick losers. Look at the Eagles and the Phillies in the playoffs. Last year when the Phillies lost, he became a Bucks fan. So for the Bucks, they lost. So, you can't go with nothing Perloff said.
Hey, the Phillies at least made the World Series. That was a miracle. They only won 87 games last year.
I'm a brilliant in baseball. I hated that y'all beat us.
Oh, yeah. No, I got to be honest. I was shocked at the Phillies got as far as they did. I think we all were a little bit.
Honestly, no one was more surprised than Perloff. It was like it was a blur for you.
Anyway. Wait,
I think that our bench just had a bad night. Everybody have a bad night. And like Anthony Davis, he off and on. But I think he'll probably have one more bad game. Yeah, Lakers are taking in 6.
Still taking Lakers in 6. Anthony, thank you so much for the phone call.
Anthony smartly just bakes in a bad Anthony Davis game. we all kind of do that. We're like, Anthony Davis is amazing. I'll give you 35 any night. Guaranteed to give you 13 points one game, but he will give you 35. So he's at least realistic. I'll give Anthony that.
We've got one more bad Anthony Davis game in the series.
It's why it's a 7-game series.
It's like, when is it going to come? I don't know. Could it be game? It's probably not going to be game 3.
I think it'll be game 4. For sure. If the Lakers win big, then I'm betting the under on Anthony Davis points in Game 4.
It's like a pendulum. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, we've got a lot more to do, including Advice Duck is back today. All right? I'm sorry that the Duck didn't go to Kansas City last week to the NFL draft. The Duck wanted a crazy travel fee. It was just not going to happen. We don't have that kind of budget. If you want to ask a question to the Advice Duck, you can do it. First, you can give us a call at 855-212-4CBS. Talk to Stu, talk to EJ. They'll get you going. Or you can always email the show, maggieandperloff@gmail.com. maggieandperloff@gmail.com.
I'm looking at this. I'm looking at Twitter. Awful Announcing, the website that covers the sports media industry, has a podcast with you. It looks like a lot of fun. I was just curious. We recently did this gigantic photo shoot.
Yeah.
This is not from. What year is this picture from?
I don't know.
Where is this photo from? There's this gigantic photo of Maggie on the internet. I'm trying to figure it out.
Okay, so yes, I was a guest on the Awful Announcing podcast.
Yeah.
It's called Awful Announcing. It just covers sports media stuff.
Yes.
That is the stock photo of me that exists on the internet. It is from a women's conference in 2017. I was interviewing, I think, Stephanie McMahon from the WWE.
Random.
Super random. She was lovely. And it's from a women's conference in Los Angeles. And I know what happened. I'm sorry. It was 2017. And while I was at that women's conference, the news leaked that I was getting hired by WFAN.
Oh, so it became.
So that's the headshot that got used. And forevermore, I will always be in that gray sweater with the diamonds on the collar.
Yeah. I mean, it looks great. I just don't know why we spent hours on this other photo shoot that they never used the photos for.
I don't know. They didn't ask me for a headshot. I should have just offered one. Hey, do you guys need a headshot?
Yeah. And if anyone out there wants a headshot of us, we'll sign them. We'll send them along.
Yeah. I know. We got to get some more. We've given all of them away. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
And congrats, Largent Parks was the latest. He gets a gift bag coming to him because he won the Maggie and Perloff Pearl Jam Season 2 NCAA tournament. Yeah. In the chat, bud.
I know. He had UConn, I believe, right? Mm-hmm. I should have gotten that one.
Yeah. You were way off. 855-212-4CBS. 855-212-4227. We see you guys on the phones. Going to get to you in one moment. Coming up, the one thing that has to happen tonight. Get to that after this CBS Sports Update with Rich Ackman.
Sports Flag.
Well, the Celtics and Sixers tip off in Philly with that best-of-7 series even at 1. Boston lost the opener but answered with a rout of Philly in Game 2. Jaylen Brown set the tone by scoring 13 of the Celtics' first 18, and Malcolm Brogdon excelled off the bench as usual with 23. Head coach Joe Mazzulla hoping they can maintain that performance tonight.
Our guys have been there before. They've been a part of a lot of physical series, a lot of physical games, and a lot of games. And so I think it's just, continue to just understand that when we play at our best, it's a choice. We have to work to hold each other accountable to that. We got to choose to play to the level at which we played last night.
Max Asmus has settled on Texas as his next stop for his college career. The Hurricanes host the Devils in the only game on the Stanley Cup playoff schedule. Carolina took the opener on Wednesday. The Rays go for their 27th win of the season when they host the Yankees. A win tonight would give Tampa Bay the best start of any team since 1984 when the Tigers opened the year at 27-6. Right now at Wrigley Field, the Cubs have taken a 3-0 lead over the Marlins as they go to the 6th. Ian Happ with a 2-run homer in the 5th off Edwards Cabrera. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Looking for CBS Sports Radio online? Your favorite hosts and the best sports content and entertainment are available 24/7 on social media and YouTube and in the palm of your hand with the free Odyssey app.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining.
1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's time to Ask the Pros, where you, the listener, gets to ask us a question, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply check out the link cbssportsradio.com/askthepros or tweet your question at CBS Sports Radio using the hashtag AskThePros. Be listening later in the show when we might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. So we told you, everybody who listened to the show yesterday knew that the Warriors were going to win Game 2.
Yeah,
the way you put
death and taxes.
NBA teams are starting to load manage within series. What does that mean for Game 3s? I think Game 3, the home team wins. And even if the Lakers win Game 3, I still think the Warriors have an edge.
Well, I don't know about that, but I guess I would say, do we think that because the Warriors had 2 road wins in the first round against Sacramento, including a very crucial Game 7 road win, does that mean their entire road woes from the whole season? They won 11 games on the road. Like, it's over now? Just poof?
Yep. Newsflash. The Golden State Warriors and the rest of the NBA does not care about the regular season. They really don't. And that's why I think they reverse that trend pretty quickly.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Let's hit the phones. Roger is in Oregon, wants to thank Perloff. Hey, Raj.
Hi, how are you?
Doing great. What's on your mind?
2 things. First of all, before I give the praises to Perloff for something, I'm a big USC fan, so I'm kind of outnumbered here in Oregon Duck territory.
Yep.
But I grew up watching SC, being a USC fan, and I think Sam Darnold is a great fit for the 49ers, especially with that coaching staff. And if Purdy didn't get hurt in that game, I think 49ers would have been in that Super Bowl situation. But besides that, I would like to thank Perloff because about a month and a half ago, he mentioned about taking that $5 bet on both Golden State and Lakers to make it to the finals and win the finals. I am happy to announce that I did take that bet. And I'm real happy that I'm seeing Golden State and L.A. getting ready to get into the NBA Finals and win it all.
Wait, I remember promoting the Lakers bet. I think I bet on the Warriors too, Maggie. I think I did.
Yeah, no, you had both. You even mentioned the odds that were on there for Golden State and L.A., and I ended up taking both of those bets, and I'm sitting pretty right now.
Okay, my concern, Roger, is the Denver Nuggets. They look good.
See, I bet on the Nuggets, and I'm just kidding. I wish I had.
No, you never would have gotten good odds on the Nuggets.
No, I wouldn't have.
And by the way, if Roger, at the top of next hour, we're having Ryan Wilson from CBS Sports, who promised me we were going to go in depth on the USC quarterback and the Oregon quarterback for next year. Possible NFL draft prospects. Would that be cool? A USC-Oregon quarterback battle there?
Love it, Roger.
Getting me hyped for the fall.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much for the phone call. Sorry. I think you wanted to say something more there. I cut him off. Nick is in Portland, wants to talk about Sam Darnold as well. What's up, Nick? How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
We're doing well. Are you also a USC alum living in enemy territory?
No, I'm not, but I did grow up in California, so I am a Niners fan.
Okay.
And Matt Mioka was talking to Frank Gore, and as we know, Frank Gore played a couple years with Sam Darnold, and he said that the Niners are going to be blown away by Sam Darnold, and that he knew all of Sam Darnold's problems with the Jets, and he had first experience with everything that was happening there while he was there. So I don't know. Something to think about.
That's really, I did not know it was Frank Gore, and I didn't remember he was in New York. That's promising for my Sam Darnold love.
Okay, so Nick, that's great. Good intel there. Appreciate it. I just have this one question, though. And I'm not saying that the Jets front office, is the end-all, be-all. I know they're riding high now on the Rodgers signing, but, obviously. They had Sam Darnold in the building. Joe Douglas was with Sam Darnold for what, 2 years, EJ? About a year and a half, I believe.
Yeah, about a year and a half.
About a year and a half. So it's not like he got hired in the offseason that had to make a quick decision here about Sam Darnold. He watched Sam Darnold in the building every single day. And they had the second overall pick in the draft, and they took Zach Wilson, who might end up being one of the biggest busts in the history of the NFL. If they thought Darnold was this good, why didn't they just keep him?
So let me just get this straight. So you're saying that these NFL experts didn't think Sam Darnold had it, and they turned their expertise and decided Zach Wilson's our guy. And therefore, it's their opinion on quarterbacks that we're trusting.
I get it. I understand it's they're not the end-all, be-all, I said front office. But if the front office felt the same way that Frank Gore did, right, that maybe it was just Rodgers and just needed some stability and that he just needed, some more support or whatever, then why didn't they just keep him? They ended up getting a second-round pick for him, so good for them from the Carolina Panthers. But
I think
if they had this gem, if they were sitting on this diamond-in-the-rough guy, or not even diamond-in-the-rough, he's his third overall pick, if they thought he was that talented, why didn't they just keep him?
They have no idea what they're doing at quarterback. We have evidence of that.
Well, they just traded for Aaron Rodgers, so obviously that's the no-brainer move.
Well, yeah,
but,
sorry, you don't exactly have to be Eric Coryell to understand that Aaron Rodgers is going to be a good quarterback.
Okay, but the guy's able to draft at every other position. You got the offensive and defensive rookies of the year. If he can't really draft a quarterback and he'll never be able to understand quarterback talent, then he shouldn't be a general manager in the NFL.
So which is it? Are you trusting Joe Douglas or are you not trusting Joe Douglas?
No, I'm just saying, this is another reason why I'm a bit dubious about Darnold. Is because
I just love it. I love doing this, by the way. I have no allegiance to Sam Darnold. It just drives you nuts, this idea that he might be good.
Listen, I'll eat my words. If he's good for him. Again, it's not that I'm rooting against the guy. It'd be impossible to root against him. He's such a good dude.
Did you ever think Geno Smith would be as good as he was last year? How can you hesitate on that? No one on earth, including Geno Smith, thought that was coming. Nobody. No one has ever predicted that season was coming.
Geno also got a bit of a raw deal, He also had a defensive head coach when he came in. Obviously, Todd Bowles was his head coach, right?
Well, right, but it took
started.
And Geno had all sorts of other opportunities.
And then
Rex and Todd Bowles.
He had Rex first and Todd Bowles, so two defensive guys. And then he got punched in the face. He became a punchline, no pun intended, here. And it was really hard for him to come back from that.
I'm looking at the records, by the way. In 2020, the Jets were 2-14 with Sam Darnold. So they clearly they knew they were at the top of the draft. They were supposed to. Weren't they trying to tank for Trevor Lawrence?
Well, but that's Trevor Lawrence.
So at that point, they didn't evaluate Sam Darnold versus a possible draft pick. They were over him, right? They could not wait to get rid of him. Or was he still in the mix? I don't remember how it went.
They were really going for the number one pick.
Yeah.
But that was Trevor Lawrence, who was one of the cleanest quarterback prospects since Andrew Luck. So
I do think it's important though to note that before that season, the Jets were in the games Darnold started. They were 7-6. There was hope that you remember he had I want to say appendectomy. He had a weird
mononucleosis. He got mono,
and that was really the only reason the Jets maybe didn't have a winning record that season. It was so coming into that season. I think there was some optimism that he could be the guy, but it definitely was a make or break.
He tore apart Case Keenum and the Broncos in the one game. I went and sat with Case's dad and Darnold. Darnold went on little heaters. He just was very, very inconsistent. Also, to that coaching staff, as you noted many times, was not good.
No, they were terrible.
Yeah.
It was part of the revolving
the funny
door.
thing is, we're talking about this Darnold thing, and we don't even know if he's going to be the second quarterback. We have no idea how this whole thing is going to shake out. It is just, my argument is such a great spot to resuscitate any NFL career.
You're right about that, but if it's such a great spot, like, why isn't just Trey Lance the starter? Like, he's healthy now, right?
Well, he's 22. You know, this is a Super Bowl ready team.
I know, but that's the whole point about getting a quarterback with the third overall pick is because you can spend on the rest of the roster and he'll be cheap.
Yeah, I mean, I think they probably missed to some degree and they didn't think he was as ready. I mean, listen, he's won a couple games. You know, he lost in a monsoon in game one. We don't know. The Trey Lance might have been fine last year. There's no way to tell.
It just seemed like
do we really know?
Well, it just seemed like they were very obviously shopping him this offseason. You know, it seemed like, remember that report, the 49ers aren't making calls, but they're fielding calls on Trey Lance. It was basically like hang a for sale sign out of the front.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, we really don't, I don't think they have any idea. He's 22 right now. He turns 23 later this week, or actually next week. So that's so young. He's just a baby. We have no idea where Trey Lance is going to end his NFL career.
Well, no, not end it, but like.
No, I mean, like, yeah, I just don't think we have the slightest idea right now. He's played, how many starts has he had? 3?
3 or 4? He's played in 4 games, I believe. I think he left 2 of them injured.
He has 4 starts for his entire career.
Yeah, and how many did he win?
Oh, 2. He's 2-2 as a starter.
Right, and one was in the rain. Wait, no. But then the last game, he got hurt all in the first drive, right? So
right, and
Jimmy
he got the W, but he didn't really win that game.
Yeah.
The one thing, I've watched Trey Lance a lot. Quincy was trained Trey Lance, my friend Quincy Avery, the quarterback trainer.
Yeah.
He just throws the ball way too hard for any receiver to catch. Now, I assume that's something you can work on.
So PL in the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, Sam Darnold struggles with decision-making and judgment, and that's true. And that's been 5 years now. So maybe the judgment becomes easier when you're playing in the 49ers system.
Yeah, the judgment is, do I hand off to the left or do I hand off to the right?
Yes.
Do I throw this screen pass or do I throw 8 yards over the middle of Kittle? I'm not saying
what did Deebo Samuel say about Philadelphia? Sorry, Stu, I forgot exactly the wording that he used on that. Deebo Samuel had
that they lost, but they only had 10 guys on the floor.
That their DBs are terrible.
Yeah, I remember he said Bradbury was a bum, I think he said.
Oh, Deebo says the Eagles are the most hated team in the NFL for him.
Yeah, but Deebo, for him, yeah. That's okay. Deebo, first of all, always talks about everybody. Deebo complains about everything going back to college, so I'm not worried about that. But the other thing, too, is he's absolutely right, and I agree with that caller before. If Brock Purdy doesn't get hurt, that would have been a really close game. People are acting like that Eagles blowout was defined by the 2 quarterback injuries.
I thought, honestly, for a second, I was like, Josh Johnson's going to win this thing.
Did he have one great drive?
He did, and then he basically got concussed on the next play.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't block anybody.
Well, they were sending tight ends to try to block Hassan Reddick. It made no sense from Shanahan.
No, that definitely could have been a closer game because the Niners' defense is just amazing. And I don't think Jalen Hurts tore apart the Chiefs. He could not have done that against the Niners. I think he had 125 yards. So, anyway, I'm into this Niners team. I think they're going to be really good next year. And I don't know who the quarterback is. I'll bet you that there'll probably be a 4th person we don't even know about yet.
It's going to come
probably Carson Wentz is going to land in San Francisco.
No.
I'm sure Kyle Shanahan could work with him.
Carson Wentz has now become the thing on this show, because if we get 1,000 new subscribers on our YouTube page, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, we are going to destroy the Carson Wentz poster that is behind Andrew Perloff.
By the way, did you see who was named the Carolina Panthers day 1 starter?
Oh, Andy?
Oh, yeah. It's just on the theme of redheaded quarterbacks because Carson Wentz behind me, red hair, Sam Darnold, red hair.
I know, but
Andy Dalton starting for the Panthers for now.
I think the difference is everyone likes Andy Dalton, right? That's but one small detail.
People like Sam Darnold personally.
You're right. Okay, coming up, the biggest players to watch this college football season. Ryan Wilson, CBS Sports NFL draft analyst, will join us in just a moment. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
My favorite donut is the cinnamon and sugar covered ones.
Wow. I have to admit, you're picking a low seed.
Why? I stand
No, I
by
feel
it.
like if we could find a ranking of donut flavors, I imagine that's not top 5.
My favorite all time is like an apple fritter, but I didn't think that was traditional donut.
By the way, I think I know what an apple fritter is, but I'm not exactly sure what an apple fritter is.
Literally turned his chair away from me. Like, what am I doing?
Okay.
True story. I once took one out of the freezer because I wanted to eat one so badly, and I couldn't even wait until it got unfrozen, and I bit into it while it was still frozen. I was like, I have a problem.
The excitement you had about that frozen apple fritter story
I thought
was
I was really glad to
unbelievable.
share something with you guys, some vulnerability about the time I
We
went
don't even
into
know what apple fritters are, man. I say, what's your favorite kind of donut? A Kit Kat bar.
Here are Maggie and Perloff.
We got to stop playing that open because I get way too hungry every time it plays. Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. So glad to have you on this Friday. Couple housekeeping things quickly. Advice Duck is in the house today. If you want to ask a question to the Advice Duck, maggieandperloff@gmail.com is where you can send your question. You can give us a call, 855-212-4CBS. And Stu and EJ got you covered over there with Advice Duck questions. I've already been getting some Mother's Day things.
Yeah.
So, you know, the duck will...
I'd like to hear about that.
Yeah,
I think a lot of fathers are looking for advice on that, including this one.
Okay, we'll see what the duck has in store. Meanwhile, let's get to one of our pals. Ryan Wilson is CBS Sports NFL draft analyst. We want to have him on to talk about some of the big-time players we're going to be watching in college this year and sort of what the NFL is thinking about them. Ryan, thanks so much for the time. How are you?
I'm great, guys. I have a Mother's Day question for you, if I could be so bold.
Well, it's for the duck, but sure, go ahead.
Yeah, just throw me a bone here.
Okay.
Perloff, I'll ask you first, then Maggie, you can follow up because you'll be the expert. My co-host Rick Spielman on our little podcast here asked me this, and I thought the answer was obvious, but I'll run it by you real quick. As a husband, do you have to get your wife a Mother's Day gift?
What? Are you kidding me? 100%.
Wait, did Rick say no?
That's the most important present that you're going to give on Mother's Day, if your wife is a mother.
Yeah.
Right. I said, Rick, what's the confusion here? And this is why your wife has you on the road a lot, because you stay in the house. Because he's been married longer than I have. I said, that's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard anyone say out loud. I just wanted to double check and make sure I wasn't overstepping my bounds.
So, Ryan, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, I've been listening to a lot of the podcasts with Rick Spielman. And Rick Spielman, you have become the face of all non-professional football personnel who write about football. He gives you such a hard time, and you're right time and time again. I'm on Team Wilson. I don't know how you're handling this.
The media? The media,
Rick Spielman's like, well, you non-former GMs all the time, right?
It's great. Here's the dirty little secret. He is the greatest person on planet Earth. He just doesn't want anyone to know it. So he puts up this front, and he acts this way. But you're right, and I appreciate you recognizing it. And I've had people that he's used to work with in Minnesota say that, that sort of means he likes you, but we know exactly how you feel. We're thinking about starting a support group because he is such a pain in the moment. But at the end of the day, typically he'll acknowledge quietly that you may have gotten one or two right, but he certainly won't say it out loud.
There we go. Rick Spielman, former GM. He's a lot of fun. Ryan Wilson is our guest, CBS Sports NFL draft analyst. Okay, so let's go through some of the big guys we're going to be talking about this college football season, Ryan, and it starts obviously with Caleb Williams. So I'm curious, as the Heisman Trophy winner his sophomore year, now he's coming back for his junior season, the expectations are going to be even higher. So what are the NFL folks going to be looking at for Caleb Williams' junior season?
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. It's probably going to be unfair in terms of the expectations put on him. But he won the job in Oklahoma, followed Lincoln Riley to USC, had a really good season last year. And I don't even want to say it out loud, but this is what's going to happen. It's going to be a lot of Patrick Mahomes talk. And he'll be better than Patrick Mahomes coming out of Texas Tech because, you remember those conversations about gunslinger, air raid offense, does it translate? Well, we know the answer to that question now, but Caleb Williams is much more polished, playing in that Lincoln Riley system. Has had a ton of success, and he's been really, really good for a season and a half now, if you will. So he's only 6'1", and I actually said this to Rick the other day. I said, what if we find out he's 5'11"? I do not care because Bryce Young is 5'10", and I loved him. And I think so none of the physical stuff matters in terms of height, weight. It's just what we see on the field. And this mock draft that they make the day after the actual draft, 2024 look ahead, which is basically just guys to watch, it's reverse Super Bowl odds. And I say that because at the top of the drafts are the Houston Texans in terms of least likely to make the Super Bowl, according to Vegas. They traded that pick to Arizona. So there could be a situation where Arizona has an opportunity to get Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. with those first two picks.
Oof.
And that suddenly takes you from the Arizona Cardinals to, oh, my God, this team should be challenging for Super Bowls in the next 2 or 3 years.
So, that also means Kyler Murray is somewhere else, which would be a little fascinating, but we'd expect that.
Well, actually, on the aforementioned podcast, I heard you talking with Tom Fornelli of CBS Sports that you kind of nailed your way too early mock draft last year, and you sort of knew. I'm bragging for you, Ryan, that you were pretty close last year. Typically in this game, say you have 32 guys in your first-round mock draft, how many of them actually become first-rounders? And do you think that the industry can nail the top guys? I kind of asked, could we all be wrong about Caleb Williams? Do these early mock drafts tend to be wrong?
So I got 15 out of 31, which is pretty good. And look, I'll be honest, a lot of it's just looking at guys who are really good the year before and talking to a few people, because a lot of it's guesswork. I haven't watched any of these guys closely except for what we watched together on Saturday. And even going back a step further, Tom Fornelli, my colleague, his co-host on their podcast, Cover 3, Bud Elliott, basically says, find the 5 stars coming out of high school, follow them for 3 to 4 years, and those are the guys you should probably target coming into the draft, because there's a pretty good correlation there as well. I don't know what Caleb Williams was coming out of high school in terms of star rating.
5.
But he feels like a layup. Marvin Harrison Jr. can be one of the best overall players to come into the draft in the last 5 or 6 years. He's going to be special. There are a handful of guys that especially guys that returned that had a chance to be top 50 picks, can elevate their game if they come back and then stay healthy, fingers crossed, and then re-enter the draft the following year.
Okay, so you have 4, I believe you have at least 4 quarterbacks in your first round. The second one is Drake May, and then Quinn Ewers, and then Bo Nix, and then Michael Penix also in the first round. So can you just break down really of those 4 quarterbacks, who are teams sort of most looking at right now as the top guy?
Caleb Williams and Drake May will be in that conversation as the top guy. Drake May looks like a pocket passer, but he's pretty athletic, so he can win with his legs. Does a lot in that offense. It's just a question of how does that offense translate. Maybe sort of similar to Hendon Hooker. The Tennessee offense is sort of quirky in terms of NFL offenses, and the UNC offense is pretty simplified. I've heard people complain about that in the past, trying to get an idea of how those wide receivers were going to be once they got to the next level. So we'll see how that unfolds, but he's been a lot of fun to watch. Quinn Ewers presumably keeps a job. We know Arch Manning is there. But before he got hurt last year, I thought he was playing at a high level. Once you get over the fact that he looks like Theo Vaughn or whatever, you're like, oh, this guy can actually play football. He's really good. Bo Nix, you probably know, Andrew, I got a lot of pushback from Fornelli on that, and I get it. And here's the thing. Bo Nix at Auburn was not a lot of fun to watch. Last year at Oregon, I was surprised. And I turned it on not expecting to see much, and I was like, oh, okay, this guy's doing something. I talked to a West Coast scout and said, yeah, this kid is actually pretty good. He has a chance to be a day 2 guy. If he had come out, he didn't. So if he can build on that or maintain that, I think he's a top 100 pick. And then Michael Penix has the injury history. But good Lord, he's a lot of fun to watch. And a name I didn't have on this list, I'm also interested to see how he does in year 2 at Washington State, is Cam Ward, the transfer, who flashed at times last year. Needs to be a little less sloppy in terms of some of the decision-making, but that's okay. Year 1 in the Pac-12, you're okay with that. And then, of course, DJ Uiagalelei is another guy to watch who didn't quite work out at Clemson, has a chance to refine himself, Oregon State.
Yeah, Pac-12.
I know, Pac-12, look at that.
Wow. We didn't mention Cam Rising, too, from Utah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is just stacked. Ryan Wilson is our guest, CBS Sports NFL draft analyst. So, obviously, a guy who's going to get a lot of attention because when you play quarterback at Notre Dame, you're going to get attention. And that's Sam Hartman, who transferred from Wake. What about pro prospects for Sam Hartman, Ryan? What are you hearing early?
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what he looks like in a regular quote-unquote offense. The Wake Forest offense is so quirky, sort of a slow mesh. It takes a long time for things to develop. There are actually situations where the quarterback is sort of blocking with his backside on runs that are going to the front side. It's a whole weird thing. And it's sort of hard to figure out. I mean, that's why Ken Walker left Wake Forest to go to Michigan State as the running back. He wanted to be in a more conventional offense, got drafted in the second round last year. And that'll be the same opportunity for Sam Hartman. I think he does a lot of things well. He makes a lot of good decisions, and he'll be an upgrade over Drew Pine. No disrespect to Drew Pine, but there's a reason he left. And I think Hartman coming in gives that offense a little more downfield presence than it's had in the last few years. So I want to see how this unfolds. And right now, if you had to press me on it, I would say he gets drafted. The question becomes where, because at this point we have no idea. He could end up being a top 10 pick if he's Joe Burrow, or he could end up going in the 7th round as Max Duggan, or somewhere in between.
Okay. Your buddies, Fornelli and former GM Rick Spielman, they're way too high on J.J. McCarthy of Michigan. I'm just going to tell you right now. And it seems like I read a lot of look-ahead mock drafts, and everyone's wondering, well, J.J. McCarthy, obviously a huge recruit. I think he had 22 touchdowns last year in Michigan. But Michigan, if they win the national title, what's your take on this quarterback whose numbers were modest last year, but your two buddies seem to think that he had a really good shot at being a first-rounder?
Yeah, and I put a lot of stock in what Fornelli says this time of year because he's been watching them. Rick will tell you that he hasn't watched these guys closely either, and I'm in that same boat. The only time I saw McCarthy was just watching Michigan, and I don't have any real thoughts on him, only because I haven't watched him closely. But, height, weight, speed, it sounds like that's what you want. He made some good plays last year, just watching him on Saturdays. You like that offense to be a little bit more explosive, and maybe he provides that going into the next season. But one other name I wanted to mention that I actually overlooked earlier, some guy named Shedeur Sanders of Colorado. I want to see what happens with him because he's getting some buzz too. Deion's son, obviously transferred from Jackson State. And it'll be fun to watch the evolution from going from FCS to big-time football in a program that stunk last year, and how he handles those expectations with his dad over there on the sideline, doing his thing too. So that's another name I'll have on the old watch list, especially early once football gets started in September.
Ryan, and forgive me if don't want to paint you into a corner, but college doesn't have to be a pro comp. But is there even a college comp for Shedeur Sanders? Like for people who didn't watch him at Jackson State, what's his game like?
Yeah, again, you got me in a corner, Maggie, because I haven't watched a lot of them closely. I didn't watch a lot of Jackson State last year only because they only had one guy on defense that was likely to get drafted. So I got to get on that this summer. I was trying to take a little time off, but you guys caught me while I was on my
no off days, Ryan. No off days.
I know you guys are crushing me.
All right, real quick. What was the pick last week in Kansas City that really just you're like, oh man, I did not see that coming?
Oh, it's easy. Anthony Richardson going to the Colts, because I had heard that they were the only team that would have taken Will Levis at the top of the draft. I had heard maybe the Titans at 11. Obviously, they didn't do that either. And I heard maybe there was a conversation about C.J. Stroud falling because of the test scores or whatever. They were going to take C.J. before they took Will Levis, had he been there. And then Anthony Richardson was sort of a long shot. I hadn't heard very much about it, but I loved the idea of him going to Indy, getting paired together with Shane Steichen, who had all the success with Jalen Hurts the last few years as the OC in Philly, and then being the head guy in Indianapolis. Now the question becomes, does Anthony Richardson start right away? Are you patient with him? Do you want to go with Gardner Minshew? We'll all find that out in the coming weeks and months, but I thought that was a shocker in a division where I think three teams took quarterbacks, and that division is wide open, although you would imagine the Jaguars are the favorites of Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson.
Listen, Ryan, can't tell you how much we appreciate this. We know you have some well-deserved time off. Also, say hi to Rick for us. We're just happy that Rick's alive, because if he hasn't been getting his wife a Mother's Day gift for all these years, he's lucky to be on this earth.
Thank you very much. And Maggie, if I don't talk to you, happy Mother's Day if I don't see you before then.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate
you know what you're doing, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you guys.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah,
Man,
that's a weird question from Mr. Former GM. Yeah, he pulls a lot of the, if there's ever a debate, he ends it with, I was a GM, you weren't, which isn't fair.
Yeah, I guess so. There's no comeback there. I got maybe an idea about what's been going on here over all these years. I bet Rick Spielman was the GM of the Vikings for 14 years. So he had a really long run with the Vikings. Yeah. I bet he had a secretary. She might have been getting a gift behind his back and sending it to the wife, and just sort of covering his bases or something.
Definitely.
Because honestly, how is this guy still walking and talking and breathing after no gifts for his wife for Mother's Day?
Yeah. I have no idea. That's not a real question.
But also,
that sounds like an NFL lifetime GM question. You're right.
Does Belichick get his? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you read those hours those guys work. They have no idea, which doesn't paint a great home life for him. Although he does seem like he's been very nice with us, by the way. We should not be.
No, Rick's the best. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Do you? But your wife gets you a Father's Day gift too,
of course.
right? Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean that's like the main person. Like once you have kids, I used to focus on getting my mom something nice, and now it's getting my wife something. I don't know.
And mom.
By the way, I really wanted to make a guy. I'd love to be the hot take guy who say Caleb Williams is not going to go number one. And the only reason I say that is that I've loved Caleb Williams since the first game he ever came in for Oklahoma. But everybody is so certain on this, and you know what happens in sports when everybody is so certain on a guy. A lot of times something happens. Sam Darnold. Teams were going to. We talked about Sam Darnold last hour. Teams were tanking for Sam Darnold, and then it all fell apart. He was the number one by 50 miles coming into his year.
Well, but not like Trevor Lawrence or Andrew Luck.
Yes, he was. But I mean, it was like Trevor Lawrence, but he was a strong number one.
Remember, it was just like that class. Him, Baker, Josh Rosen.
They weren't in the same.
Lamar.
Baker coming into that season. Baker Mayfield was a seventh round pick.
Listen, Sam Darnold, pardon me, also had the Rose Bowl, right? That incredible Rose Bowl game. Was that what year was that?
That was the year before.
The year before.
Against Penn State.
And he was great, and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh!"
That's when they thought he'd be number one.
Right.
People were sure he was a number one. There was find a look ahead draft from that year, and Sam Darnold was like number one, and then you started the draft at 2.
But here's the thing: I know it was a bit shocking when Baker went first overall to the Browns that year, but there have been times though when a guy's a sure thing and everyone knows it, and he does end up becoming good. Like Andrew Luck was like that. Trevor Lawrence was like that.
It's pretty rare though.
But like Caleb, honestly, Lamar probably should have been.
No, Lamar. I don't think Lamar was a 5-star recruit.
No, I'm just saying he won the Heisman and then came back the next year. Like we probably should have had him a lot higher up in that draft, but
I don't know about that. I think, I don't think that draft. He was in a crazy draft. Oh, that's the same draft.
The same draft.
Yeah, that was Sam Darnold and Josh Rosen were 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. That's why I'm saying this Caleb Williams, Drake May. It might not be. That was supposed to be one of the surefire all-time great quarterback classes, because you had the two guys coming back, and they, it just didn't work out.
I wonder about Williams just because, I don't think that anyone would hold it against him if his team doesn't make it to the college football playoff. But, that's where the expectation is.
Yeah, but for the draft, they don't care about that. Right?
No, I mean, and listen, USC's got some work to do on defense.
USC, I think they're pretty low in the polls, like 13, 14. Washington is the huge favorite in the Pac-12 this year. Everybody came back.
Yep.
Nobody left for the draft. So it's going to be fun. I mean, all these quarterbacks. I love when no one had Anthony Richardson high. So I'm excited to see, who are these quarterbacks that we should cut this segment and think back. Oh, remember when we didn't know about him? It's going to be Jimmy Lipper will be that was the name we used at Dan Patrick Show for anonymous guy. It's going to be someone we never mentioned right now. It'll be like the 3 pick.
Well, the Shedeur Sanders thing is also extremely interesting.
Yeah, I've seen some guys who think he's a first rounder. I've seen a lot of sort of 4th to 7th round.
Well, we'll see, because now it's you're into the Pac-12. This is just going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many guys who could. There's a guy we didn't mention, Tulane's Michael Pratt. A lot of people have a top 10 pick too. It's going to be a great quarterback class. I think this year was actually not that high quality. Just everybody took one.
Yeah, well, no, there's more that we didn't mention. We didn't mention Jaden Daniels. I
love Jaden Daniels.
I know, everyone does. We didn't mention Jalen Daniels from Kansas, who's going to...
Tyler Van Dimes.
Tyler Van Dyke.
Yeah.
Miami, my guys.
Yeah. Keaton Slovis is out there. There's a lot of guys.
This is going to be a fun quarterback college football season.
Yeah. You have, if Quinn Ewers, it's funny, he's in a lot of mock drafts. He has to win the job. I'm curious, could he lose his job and still be a first-day pick?
I don't know. Well, you wonder if he loses the job to Arch. So he has the job now. Coming out of spring, they said he has the job. But if he loses the job to Arch Manning, it's there probably had to be some politics going on.
Absolutely, but it's interesting. He was Dane Brugler had him number 6 overall in this year's mock draft. He's really, really highly thought of by the NFL.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, coming up, we're going to do Advice Duck a little early. Get your questions in now. Advice Duck's going to make an appearance. You can watch us, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. Send your questions. The Duck will answer next.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Maggie has now exited the studio. You're now listening and talking to the duck. The advice duck's in the house a little earlier today. If you have questions, ask the duck. All right. Shall we get going here on the questions?
I just pray that something serious breaks in the next 10 minutes, so you have to, once again.
Yes, if you want to watch, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio is where you can go find it. I think, actually, Stu, can you just go back through the chat? Because I think I missed a question that might have gotten in the chat. Okay, so the first question was actually a Mother's Day related question, and the question was, are flowers enough as a gift on Mother's Day? The advice duck rules and says yes. Ding, ding, ding. Flowers and a card are enough on Mother's Day. You're good. You're okay. If you want to go bigger, you're welcome to go bigger. But the advice duck says you're in good shape with flowers and a card.
I would never disagree with the advice duck.
Yeah, you can't.
It sounds a little weak, I'm going to be honest. In my house, I would not fly.
Really?
Okay.
I know you have an anti-flowers thing.
I have an anti-flowers. If you're going to spend $25 on flowers, why not spend that $25 on something that people actually need? Or spend it on earrings or something that'll last.
Okay, the only thing about that is that you really got to know your wife's taste, because you could end up spending it on earrings she's never going to wear. She's not going to return them if they're a gift. Or, you can't get anything domestic, by the way. Pots, pans, dish towels. Save that for some other time.
But taking a step back here, aren't you supposed to know your wife's taste if you've been married to her?
Yeah, but sometimes, that's not the forte of some men.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm just trying to make this easy and foolproof on everybody.
Okay, I know my wife is not listening. Can I tell you what I'm getting?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm getting a gift certificate to Lululemon so she could buy those exercise pants.
I love it. I can't believe Lululemon makes another appearance on the show. We found out Rich Ackerman, a huge Lululemon person.
You know who else is? Pretty much everybody else in America. It's the single hottest company in the world. Everybody's at the Lululemon. It's a great Mother's Day present. It's so much better than flowers, but it's so much more expensive.
Yeah, it's a lot more expensive than flowers. So good for you. That's going to be a good Mother's Day.
Yeah. But I didn't know I could cheap out with flowers and a card.
Well, it's not one single solitary rose isn't going to do it. You need to get some flowers.
Wait, EJ, Stu, do you guys do more than that for Mother's Day?
I usually do just flowers and a card.
I give them some kind of gift. They may not. I don't think I've ever done flowers for my mom. I've done other gifts, but I think she would be fine if I did that. My dad usually does flowers, though, so that would be weird if I got her flowers.
Yeah, he's got that territory.
Right.
Smart man.
Yeah. He got that taken care of 32 years ago.
He staked out that part of the property. So it's very different because Stu is an only child, and EJ, you're the oldest of four.
Yes. So usually it's like I or whoever has more money at that time will say, "Hey, I got it, and this will be from all of us."
Wait, Maggie, what about free time for the mother? Is that something that, getting her, just leaving her alone for a bit?
And that's a great gift any day. Well, leave me alone. Now you're speaking my language. No, see, this is the thing about Mother's Day. You actually kind of want to toe the line a little bit. Because Mother's Day, you actually do, if I'm talking now as a mother duck, you do actually want to spend a little time with your kids.
Okay.
Especially if, your kids are grown. But even, for this particular advice duck, I've got a little kid. So you definitely want to spend time with your kids, but then you also need some alone time too. So best of both worlds.
Got it. So a 50-50 situation.
Yeah, give her 2 hours.
Yeah, don't be I'm going out with the guys to watch the game at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, no. But listen, if you've been doing that, you're probably single.
On Mother's Day.
Point, yeah. All right, let's head to the phones. 855-212-4CBS. Phil is in Pennsylvania. Hey, Phil, what's up?
Phil, you're talking to the advice duck.
Phil, you're on with the duck.
Phil, don't be intimidated by the advice duck.
All right, put Phil on hold for a second. I don't know if Phil was looking to collect on something.
Yeah.
Questions for the duck.
All right. Oh, no. Should we be avoiding Phil? Don't we owe him something?
We do owe him something. We owe him getting Randall Cunningham to sign the jersey that he sent to you.
Okay, if we do get that, can we frame it and replace the Carson Wentz jersey with a Randall Cunningham jersey? You love Randall. Everyone loves Randall Cunningham.
Randall Cunningham would be fine. It's the Carson Wentz poster, and I should reiterate, if you would be so kind as to hit subscribe on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. If we get 1,000 new subscribers before the end of the NBA Finals, we will destroy the poster. It bothers me. It bothers everyone else who's in the studio. Ackerman, I'm sure you don't like the Carson Wentz vibes over there.
I don't love him, but I can't really, it's not my studio, so I swallow it.
Yeah, but see, Ack doesn't love the vibes either. It's really bumming everybody out. So we got to get 1,000 new subscribers, and then we are going to destroy this poster on our live stream.
I don't understand. There are other shows in the studio at night. They could just take the poster down and we can put it back. Oh.
They do.
Oh.
Stu puts it back up every day.
Yeah, it's always on the floor turned away from the studio, so it's just the white part.
What did Carson Wentz do to anybody? So he reportedly changed his station in the weight room once. It's not like everyone's painting him to be O.J. Simpson or something. It's just Carson Wentz.
Oh, jeez. You couldn't find another example? You have to go to the ultimate extreme?
What's an example of a quarterback that really is problematic for people?
Jamarcus Russell.
Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
He's he's more talented than
people still like Johnny Manziel more than Carson Wentz. So.
At least you can party with Manziel.
Yeah.
Nobody,
like that comment. Like, what's wrong with Carson Wentz?
Here's the thing. We're trying to build, and we have built, a universe in here where people like each other. Carson Wentz is the antithesis of that. The team didn't like him, and he had such a problem with the team that they need to ship him out of town.
Okay, I mean, listen, it wasn't that bad a disaster. He just wasn't playing well. If he had been playing well, they would have found a way to like him.
I mean, beyond Jalen Reagor, it's probably the biggest do-over that Howie Roseman would have, giving Carson Wentz all that money.
Not at all. I mean, he got in the playoffs the next year. And then Indianapolis, he had a great year. He was in the MVP race for half the year. Then
they missed the playoffs.
Yeah, then he lost to Jacksonville.
That's a bummer. Okay, Phil's back. Quickly, Phil, what's up, dude?
I'm sorry, my cheek hit the mute button, so you couldn't hear me.
Hate when that happens.
Yeah, all right, I seek your counsel. How do I collect a debt from somebody that won't pay?
This one seems a little close to home. Sorry, Phil, we haven't gotten the jersey signed yet by Randall Cunningham. That's our bad.
It's okay, but, perhaps whenever the tapestry is burned to the stake, it might be replaced by a better way to pay homage to Eagles lore.
I agree. I think there's 1,000 different ways that we could pay homage to Eagles lore beyond the Carson Wentz post.
Can I read you?
And you have it in your possession, so that's just an easy swap right there.
You're right. It's in our office.
We'll work on it, Phil.
All right. I appreciate it. Have a good one, guys.
Can I read you just one more quick defense of Carson Wentz? Do you know the site Pro Football Reference? It's like an advanced stat site.
Yeah.
They do player comps at the bottom. Statistically, you want to hear the quarterbacks that compare to Carson Wentz?
Yeah.
Jameis Winston.
Okay. You're not making the case yet.
Jake Delhomme.
All right.
Major Super Bowl.
Thank you. Chad Pennington.
All right, I love Chad. My favorite Chad.
Doug Williams.
Coming from a Jets fan.
Doug Williams, former Super Bowl winning quarterback. That was a different era. David Garrard, not bad. Had Crohn's disease, battled through it. Made a Pro Bowl. Stan Humphries made a Super Bowl. Am I correct, Dak?
Did.
Daryl LaMonica, the Mad Bomber, Lynn Dickey, Jeff Hostetler, Doug Flutie.
Wait, how many of those guys were drafted second overall?
Let's see. None of them. Ooh, where'd Lynn Dickey go?
How many of them got
not in the first round?
How many of them got paid like $150 million?
But through 3 years, guess who was number one? They update every year. It was Jim Kelly for the first 3 years of his career.
Okay.
So that was pretty fire.
I know. The only difference is I think the Bills actually liked Jim Kelly. I don't think the Eagles liked Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Listen. All this, we don't know. I'm just saying, you don't know Carson Wentz personally. Let's not take him down.
No, listen, we joke, but we'll see how much we're joking. Because if we get 1,000 new subscribers, that poster is going down.
Chad Pennington's a first rounder.
He was.
Let's see.
Don't know if he made $150 million in his career.
Nobody did back then. Jake Delhomme, was he drafted? No, about half these guys weren't drafted, I noticed.
A little different.
Jameis Winston went number one overall.
Oh, Jameis, right, of course, Jameis.
People like Jameis, and I don't know why, but they seem to think he's goofy.
Yeah, Jameis has got some baggage. I don't know if I would be running to compare myself to Jameis Winston. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. When they make a documentary and you're in it about bad things that happen on college campuses, that's not a good sign.
You might as well say I'm a modern-day Jake Delhomme would be a better,
that might be
better thing.
855-212-4CBS. Okay, the advice duck goes away. Coming up, we've got plenty to do, including the one thing that has to happen tonight. Has to happen. No way about it. No two ways about it. Whatever that saying is. Has to happen tonight. We'll get to that right after this CBS Sports Update with Rich Ackerman.
CBS Sports Radio.
Sports Flash.
Well, Nikola Jokic came close, but just short of winning his third straight MVP award, losing out to Joel Embiid. However, the two-time MVP has much bigger goals in mind, such as a title. Denver has a 2-0 series lead over the Suns. Entering tonight's Game 3 in Phoenix, Jokic was the star of Game 2 with 39 points and 16 rebounds. Never ceases to amaze his head coach, Michael Malone.
I marvel at his greatness. I marvel at his consistency, his excellence, his ability to find so many different ways to beat you, whether it's scoring, rebounding, playmaking. Not afraid of the moment.
The Suns will be without point guard Chris Paul tonight due to a groin injury. The first game of the evening features the Celtics and Sixers in Philly. That series is even at 1 after the Sixers were routed on Wednesday despite the return of MVP Joel Embiid. The Hurricanes host the Devils in the only game in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Carolina won Game 1 easily, scoring early and often, while the Rays look to equal the best start in baseball since 1984 when the Tigers went 27-6. Tampa is a win shy of that mark and will host the Yankees tonight. This afternoon at Wrigley was the Cubs over the Marlins 4-1. I'm Rich Jackson.
CBS Sports is everywhere, at home, in your car, and of course on your phone and tablet. Find us on your local affiliate, Sirius XM Channel 158, or the free Odyssey app.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff on this Friday. So glad to have you. Got a lot to do. Okay, so let's get to it. We're now on a mission as a show to get this Carson Wentz poster that's behind Perloff destroyed. All it's going to take is 1,000 new subscribers to our YouTube channel by the end of the NBA Finals, youtube.com/Maggie and Perloff. Let's go to Brandon, who's in Oregon, who's got a thought on Wentz. What's up, Brandon? How are you?
Oh, not bad at all. Hey, so you guys remember the movie The Replacements?
Yes.
Yeah. Carson Wentz is the Eddie Martell, like through and through. Nobody can stand him, arrogant.
Give me a refresher. Who is Eddie Martell in The Replacements?
He's the starting quarterback when they all go on strike, and he's like...
Who plays him?
I don't know. I know it's Keanu Reeves on the other side. But,
yeah, well, Keanu Reeves is Shane Falco.
Yeah, of course. Everybody loves Falco.
Well, right.
Nobody wants Wentz.
I don't remember who is it, EJ?
Who's that?
I don't know. Brett Cullen is the person who played him. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with his work.
Okay. And he peaked at The Replacements. Brandon, thank you so much. Wanted to get to this because Perloff is mildly obsessed with great moments.
We totally know this. We totally know this guy, Brett Cullen. He's like the Cap of that movie, Cap from Any Given Sunday. You know this actor, right? He's in a million movies.
Cap from Any Given Sunday is
Dennis Quaid.
Quaid.
Remember this guy, he was much younger back then, played the quarterback. He's in a million movies.
Okay. Well,
you know him. Let's see. I'm sorry. I'll just vamp for a little bit. Then I'll tell you what movies Brett Cullen
Let me entertain the audience while you do that, because Perloff has become mildly obsessed with some of the great moments coming out of the draft. And we keep getting these like trickle of moments where guys get the phone call that changes their life. And this one is really great. This is from Josh Downs, who is a wide receiver who was drafted by the Colts. Here's what it sounded like.
Chris Ballard here with the Colts, man. We're going to pick you right here, man. Welcome to Indy.
Praise God! Hallelujah! Hallelujah!
I know it's been a long wait, man, but we can't tell you how excited. We feel fortunate to get you, man.
Let's go! Let's go!
We're ready. I'm telling you right now, I'm ready. I'm going to do big things for you, and I promise you that right now.
Okay, by the way, that was not Josh Downs yelling.
No, it's someone else.
That was his friend.
It's a friend or an uncle or somebody is screaming, thank God.
I love Chris Ballard. What are you thinking? You're the GM, and you're calling your new draft pick, and you hear that. Are you excited, or you're like, wait, what's going on there?
They've probably heard it all at this point.
They've heard it all.
Yeah.
And the Colts they're sharing every single detail of this draft process.
They are proud of this class.
And then there's a headline that Josh Downs was so eager to start working with Anthony Richardson that they went into the parking lot and had a catch the first night they got there. So I'm all about I think I'm a Colts fan. They're my AFC team right now. They're very lovable. I don't know what their win total is going to be. Or maybe not good, but they are really a lot of fun.
They became very interesting, and it's better for them to be interesting about what's going on the field than the fact that they have a coach who was on ESPN like on Monday and then took over the team on Wednesday.
Well, you know what? They've been really aggressive. They've always had an in-house Hard Knocks style documentary running. The Colts film everything. They had this film of when the Colts were sitting there at 4, and then Houston traded up to number 3. Chris Ballard hears there's been a trade to number 3, the Colts GM, and his whole face sinks. He's like, oh, no, someone jumped us to get to number 3, and they're going to take Anthony Richardson. Then he found out it was a Texans who had just taken C.J. Stroud, and it gives a huge fist bump. I love this. I want every team to do this. Give us the real scoop of what's going on.
Yeah, that kind of stuff is awesome. Although I do think some of the war rooms get unfairly pegged because I think they're all watching the TV, and it's like on a delay. And so it doesn't look like they're reacting.
Oh, is that why some look so lame and some look really...
Yeah, it's like you would think the Lions, it's like, geez, what kind of meatheads you guys got in that front office? Everyone's like, like
yeah, that's my favorite one. The Lions are so... For Jahmyr Gibbs, I'm like, nobody even wanted you to take that guy. You're acting like you just won the draft.
Yeah, I think that's a mistake. I don't know. I think sometimes guys get caught on the delay.
There was a Patriots player who got drafted, and it looked like he was not happy. It looked like he was upset. It was very weird, but a lot of that has to do with the delay.
Yeah, well, that guy I think was just kind of stoic. Okay. That dude, because the family was reacting around him. That was the dead giveaway. But yeah, he didn't say anything, and it did look kind of ticked off. And they said, no, he's just low key. Like, okay.
My favorite one. What was the guy who got drafted? I think it might have been CeeDee Lamb, and he immediately I think his girlfriend was sitting next to him. Tried to get the phone, and he grabbed the phone back from her.
Yes, it was CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, that was. There's all sorts of. I think you could do a mini play on half of these drafts. There's always something exciting going on.
One of Perloff's guys, Joel Embiid, had a similar situation with not having the delay, where he got drafted, and he looked like that was a delay situation where he just looked like he didn't.
Like miserable.
Yeah, like he looked
So what
miserable.
happened? He didn't know he'd gotten drafted yet? I don't really remember.
Yeah, so Joel Embiid got drafted. It's a famous picture. I was working in WIP during that time, so it was a lot of the conversation after he got picked. He looked as if I don't know if they were on a 2-minute delay, but he looked just like stoic, just like no reaction. And they went to his camera after he got picked, and he looked like he was furious. And then he had to tweet a picture afterwards saying, hey, Joel Embiid is now we all know him.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, I'm very happy. I didn't realize I was on a delay, I guess.
Oh, that's so funny.
I mean, you could really get caught, and you got this like sourpuss look on your face. Meanwhile, your life just changed for the better, and everyone gets introduced like.
One of the most awkward ones is when you get drafted by a team, but you know you're getting traded. When Eli Manning got drafted and he had to do his interview in a San Diego Chargers hat, and I think he had a clue, right, that he was going to the Giants, or he thought he was.
They were orchestrating it all behind the scenes. Yes, that was like an Archie Manning power play.
But he had to wear the Chargers hat for the uniform and say something awkward like, yeah, I'm just happy to be drafted here. I don't know.
If you go back and watch footage of that Eli Manning, that entire draft cycle, the pre-draft, it's the most awkward, cringeworthy, because yes, he's trying to sidestep everything. Susie Colbert there, like, hey, what are you gonna do? And he's like,
Yeah, totally. NBA is even worse because those guys all get traded on draft day. They all go up in the wrong hat.
I know.
And then, not that they even care what their hat is generally, but yeah, the draft is a great awkward time. But we
love it.
You know those people who say the NFL is in trouble because of head injuries, people are not going to want to play? I don't think that's true because everyone's like, I fulfilled all my life dreams to get here. It's just very popular to get to. I don't know. I sound like an apologist now, but just the fact that half the draft picks cry when they get draft picks says how important it is.
EJ, let's tweet this out if we can from @Maggie and Pearl on Twitter. Joel Embiid looks so young there, by the way, of course, and
Is it no hair, Joel?
He looks totally, close buzz cut. By the way, speaking of Embiid, can do something right here. We were planning to do later, but let's just do it now. Joel Embiid has to have a huge game tonight. He knows that, right? Like, I understand he's not 100%, but he has to have a huge game. And that's not because the series is tied 1-1. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with the fact that he was just named MVP. And you have to give something to those fans who stood by your 2 injured seasons when you first, got there and people weren't sure what Joel Embiid was going to be. The whole process, sitting through all that losing, waiting for him, to pan out, which he has done spectacularly, and it's totally worth the wait. But he owes them, like, a really big performance tonight. You're the MVP of the league.
What do you mean he owes them? I don't even understand what this means. Like, he's got to overcome. He's hurt. If he scores 14 points tonight, we're going to say, "Oh, the dude's knee is hurt." What do you expect? He's 60%.
No, I think you gotta channel something here. You got to go to Germany and get your blood spun. You got to shoot that knee up. You got to do something. I think he really has to give the. First of all, you want to take a 2-1 lead in the series. Well, that's no kidding. But once you win MVP like that, in the type of career that he's had, and all the trials and tribulations with the Sixers, and it's never been a straight line there. I think that he's got to show the appreciation to the fans and drop like at least 35 tonight.
If they lose this series in 6 games, 5 or 6 games, and Joel does nothing, is anybody going to rip him? You think they will?
It's not about ripping him. It's about what's right.
What do you mean right? Like
this is the deal. Like, you're the MVP.
He's hurt.
And you're playing in front of your home crowd.
It doesn't matter. I mean, hopefully he'll have a good game. But I mean, guys don't play. He has a meniscus tear. Is what everyone kind of thinks it is.
Okay, well then I guess don't be out there then, right? Because it didn't look good in Game 2 against the Celtics, but it was kind of like, all right, well maybe Embiid can just sort of get his legs back or whatever.
I understand what you're saying, and it does make sense. I just think this is going to be a gigantic asterisk series for Embiid and the Sixers. I think if they lose, they're going to say, oh, it's because Embiid was hurt.
Embiid missed 2 games last year in the playoffs.
I know. Listen. I mean, Milwaukee had all sorts of injuries, and they just fired their coach, regardless of the fact that Giannis missed 2 games in the last series.
Yeah, we should talk about that for a second, too.
I don't think, I think you have to account injuries. It's the way the NBA is won. It's a war of attrition. So I'm not going to kill him if he has a bad game. And the other thing, too, one more thing about Embiid. When he gets 40 points and he goes, the rest of the team just stands around and watches him, and he was out in Game 1 and the ball moved better.
Well, and also James Harden, couldn't miss. And I don't know if you're having another one of those games.
Not if Embiid is clogging the ball up in the middle of the court. So, yeah, I hear you. I'm going to give him a total pass. I'm already setting up for the loss.
Yeah, you are.
And
losers
you can't text me during the game.
Oh, I forgot.
Oh,
you better. No, that's all you guys. No texting Perloff during the Sixers game.
Listen, it's not our fault that you're going to see Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, with your daughters.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's your fault.
Great Judy Blume book. Great book.
Yeah, it's called Great Parenting here. I got roped into this, and when we bought tickets, I had no idea this was going to be Game 3 of the Sixers Celtics series. So what am I supposed to say? I'm not going to be there for this important coming-of-age story?
Well, I am going to text you, and I'm not going to text you spoilers. I'm just going to text you, oh, my gosh.
I won't spoil the movie for you then.
I already know how this one ends.
Can I just tell a quick Judy Blume story? I love Judy Blume more than anything. She had this book, Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know if kids still read this. It's the funniest book ever written for kids. So I'm like, I love this author. I went to the library. I'm going to get her next book. I brought home Are You There, God? Reading about halfway through, I'm like, what in the hell is going on right here? You've never seen a more confused 4th grade boy in the history of the world. I'm like, what is going on here with these 13-year-old girls? I was lost.
Yeah, it's a lot of preteen stuff.
Yeah.
Coming of age milestones.
Yeah, it's very specific.
Drift.
And I was in 4th grade, and I think I was a little naive even for a 4th grader. I figured a lot of that stuff later out in college, what was going on. but at the time, I was. But anyway, so don't tell me anything about the game.
I'm just going to keep texting you eyeball emoji.
So I am DVRing the game, and I won't. If they lose, I'm not going to go back and watch a second of it.
Coming up, Howard Beck's going to join us, NBA contributor for GQ Sports Locked On podcast. Talk a little hoops with him in just a moment. Don't move. More Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Is that the worst thing you can do to a coworker? Is take their Diet Dr. Pepper out of the fridge? Because I didn't do it, but the thought crossed my mind. And actually, my second thought was, wow, Maggie would just kill me if I did this.
I mean, listen, you could sleep with somebody's wife. That'd be worse.
I don't think it's
taking
that.
their soda, but
You mean like Boston Celtics shot? No, I don't think. Honestly, I don't think that's worse. I mean, I think it's about tied. If I had put a Diet Dr. Pepper in the fridge to go with my lunch and somebody took it, I
would be more upset than if it was like, hey, by the way, Dale is sleeping with your wife.
That Dale. I would want to.
And he's got Dr. Pepper. Dale, you're forgiven.
I would want to punch Dale if he was sleeping with my wife. If he took my Diet Dr. Pepper, it'd be full on attack.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Happy Friday, you made it. It's Maggie and Perloff hanging out with you, and we got a lot of NBA to talk, and we welcome in our friend Howard Beck. He's NBA contributor for GQ Sports. He's also the Locked On Podcast Network. Howard, thanks so much for the time today. How you been?
I've been okay. How are you guys?
We're doing great. We'll get to Perloff 76ers in just a moment. Let's talk about the Lakers, shall we? So, listen, Anthony Davis, we can understand, Howard, when he's battling injuries, that maybe you're not going to get the most consistent games night to night. But it doesn't seem like he's injured now. So how are we supposed to, how do we explain why Davis can look so dominant one game and then have a game like last night where he's just not a factor?
It is one of the great mysteries of our time.
Yes.
I've got two thoughts on this. The first is that Anthony Davis is always hurt. So even if they're not listing an injury, there's probably something. And I don't mean to be flip about that. There just always is. And if we saw, if you watch the first round, right, like how many times was he on the floor grabbing his hip, his back, his shoulder, his arm? He had the dead arm at one point. We thought he was done for the game at that point. He just, there's always something. And frankly, that's also, if you ask NBA players, the state of everybody at this time of year. So if you're playing in May, you're probably banged up somewhere. That said, this is also just kind of par for the course for Anthony Davis's career. He's been kind of a frustrating player as superstars go. Remember, during his time in New Orleans, he was viewed as a guy who could be a perennial MVP candidate. And at the time that the Lakers acquired him to pair up with LeBron James, obviously the thought was this is an incredible 1-2 punch, and that because Anthony Davis has all-star, or not just all-star, but MVP-type potential, you could eventually have this gradual handoff where, LeBron starts to take the secondary role, and then Anthony Davis is the one to carry them. And to his credit, Anthony Davis has done that at some critical times, both in these playoffs and earlier this season when LeBron was out and when LeBron was, trying to get back to full health. Anthony Davis has had some incredible stretches of dominant performances. That he doesn't do it every night is the frustration, but that, like I say, that is just kind of the story of his career.
Howard, what did the Warriors do differently in Game 2 to Anthony Davis? And whatever they did, do you think that that's going to define the rest of the series? Have they figured this Lakers team out?
I will never say after one game or even two games that anything is figured out by anybody. The NBA playoffs have a way of making us all look like fools as soon as we say that we've got a handle on something. So, I don't know how much just kind of misdirection or whatever, was going on last night with the Kevon Looney's not starting, JaMychal Green's starting, but Kevon Looney's sick, but Kevon Looney's still going to play a bunch of minutes, and he's still going to do a bunch of Kevon Looney things when he's in there. But by going to I don't want to say smaller lineup because Looney and JaMychal Green are about the same height, but going to a lineup where you had an extra shooter out there because JaMychal Green shoots and Kevon Looney does not, it meant that the only non-shooter you had was Draymond. And I think that created a different kind of spacing, and it forced the Lakers to have to guard more on the perimeter. And I, would have to go back and look, and the people who follow all the tracking stats could tell you better. But I'm guessing that it meant Anthony Davis did not quite spend as much time around the basket as he did the first game because the Warriors had more shooters out there. And that's part of the point of the exercise, and we'll be curious to see what happens in Game 3 if Steve Kerr, as he's been prone to do when a lineup works after a change, he tends to stick with it until it doesn't work anymore. So will this be the course for them? And if so, is there a counter for the Lakers? I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Howard Beck is joining us, NBA contributor for GQ Sports, also the Locked On Podcast Network. Howard, where are you on the Steph LeBron sort of legacy, I don't want to say debate, but the conversation that's out there that this series is going to somehow, change how we look at the two of them if we compare them to each other?
We won't. It won't. Somebody will, but it doesn't. The people who need to make a living off of making declarations about the series, and so they will. They both have their 4 rings. They are both, in my view, I was going to say top 10. Obviously, LeBron's top 10. LeBron is in the running for, greatest player ever. And Steph, I think, by most people's estimation, cracked the top 10 all time when he got his 4th ring last year. So there's nothing either of them need to do, right? Like, they have their regular season MVPs, and they've got their championships, and LeBron's got his 4 finals MVPs, and Steph has one now finally, and they're both cemented as all-time greats and incredibly unique players who have defined the era and who defined each other's careers by playing each other in 4 straight finals. I don't think that a second-round matchup of their teams at a later stage of their careers, and especially with LeBron in year 20, is the kind of thing that you say it changes the calculus at all. Again, somebody will, but I don't agree. I think obviously whoever comes out of the series will be then 4 wins away from returning to the finals and maybe getting a 5th ring. And that's the more important thing, right? If LeBron gets to the finals and can win a 5th championship when a lot of folks had, understandably written him off because of how bad the Lakers had been the last couple of years, that would be quite a thing in year 20 to win another championship. If Steph gets back there and the Warriors can win back-to-back, they did that with Kevin Durant. And again, nobody thought the Warriors were ever going to win another title with Durant gone and then Clay's injuries, and they won one last year. To go back-to-back would be incredible. So it's more about who's got the opportunity to still get to the finals and, kind of pad their resume. But I don't think the head-to-head result matters, at least not to me.
All right, let's shift to another series, Howard. As Maggie mentioned, I'm a Sixers fan. We've been kind of arguing back and forth about this. I feel like there's less pressure on Joel Embiid because of the knee injury. If he can't come through, to me, I think a lot of people are going to say, it's the knee. But Maggie, I think, thinks there's still pressure to sort of deliver coming off the MVP.
He's got to go big tonight, Howard. I mean, you're in front of your home crowd. You just won the MVP. They were with you through the process and all of that. Like, he needs to drop 35 for them.
He's got a giant brace on his knee. What do you think, Howard?
I have no doubt in my mind that that's what Joel Embiid wants to do and will do so if he's able to. I also would say, and, I don't know him well, but the sense I get about Embiid is that if they lose this series, and it's in part because of the knee and this big bulky brace he's wearing under all that stuff, we will all sit there and say, you know what, people should not go hard on him like this, just because he won MVP, just because it was year X, whatever, it doesn't mean that this is some great indictment. The guy was hurt and the rest of the supporting cast wasn't good enough. Like, that's how most of us will look at it. But I'm going to guess that Embiid will be the first one to say, hey, no excuses, I was out there and playing, right? Like, he's not going to feel any better about it because he has a ready-made excuse. And excuse is the wrong word. It's a reason. Like, injuries are real. Sprained LCL that's supposed to take 4 to 6 weeks to heal, that he's playing through anyway with a big old brace on, is no small thing. This isn't playing through like a slight ankle sprain or something. Like, this is a serious thing, especially for a guy of his size with the pounding that he takes and the pounding that his knees take just in doing what he does. So I don't think that the result of this series is, if the Celtics win it, I don't think it's any indictment of Embiid. If they happen to win this, it's an incredible moment for both him and James Harden, who both have their burdens to bear in the postseason. They both have a pretty short, postseason resume, and making it to the conference finals and knocking out the Celtics, who by most estimations are the best team remaining in the playoffs, would be quite a feat.
Howard Beck is joining us, NBA contributor for GQ Sports, also the Locked On Podcast Network. It just reminds me of a debate that Perloff and I were having pre-show. We haven't even brought this up on the show yet. And James Harden made me think about it, and then Chris Paul, who we know is injured right now, unfortunately, and the Suns are down 0-2 to the Nuggets. But, Howard, we're having a debate about, say Chris Paul never wins a title, okay? When he retires, is he going to be remembered in the vein of Charles Barkley and Dan Marino and like Patrick Ewing, like great players to never win a title? Does he get in that conversation, or was he not a good enough player for that to be his like legacy? This is what we talk about before the show, by the way. These are the types of conversations we're having.
I thought where that sentence was going, Maggie, was that it was going to be, is he in the conversation with Patrick Ewing and Charles Barkley? Like, period. I didn't think there was going to be a qualifier. Like, is he not even good enough to be in the great players who were losers in the postseason conversation? No, he's in, like, whatever that category is, he's in it, right? Like, Chris Paul is one of the greatest point guards the NBA has ever seen. He's one of the great players of his time, of this era. He's, an all-time great of some level. I don't know where in the pecking order he is when we're talking about that 75 list or any other list, but he's in there. And, I don't think of him any lesser than, Barkley, Ewing, Karl Malone, John Stockton. I mean, he may not have as gaudy a stats as some of the people on that list, nor the assist totals that Stockton put up in the course of his career. But, Chris Paul, from the moment he entered the NBA, was compared favorably to Isaiah Thomas, kind of a new version of Isaiah. And I think there's a lot to that. He's never, imposed himself as a scorer for the most part. He's always been kind of control the game, set up my guys, play defense, run the game, and then if I'm open and if I've got to score, I will. But he's never been a guy who just goes for his shot, and so the stats don't pop off in the same way, and he hasn't played the same kind of role in that regard as, say, a Patrick Ewing or Karl Malone, who if they weren't scoring, their teams weren't winning, right? So it's a little bit difficult statistically to make the comparison. But if you're talking about the broad outline, all-time great, and indisputably an all-time great, and an all-time great at his position, who never won the big one, yeah, he's in that category. He's on that list.
All right, well, Howard, as long as you're settling all our debates, the other one from this week that we can't get on the same page on. So Pat Beverly said that Russell Westbrook told him that he wants his ring.
Oh, yeah.
If the Lakers win it all. If you're Russell Westbrook, do you want a ring from a Lakers, a hypothetical Lakers title? And do you think that the Lakers should give it to him if that does happen?
Oh, man. No and no. And by the way, no and no on Beverly, too. No to this whole conversation.
No, yes to the conversation. Yes to the conversation.
That's fine. The conversation's fun. And besides that, Pat Beverly forced us to have it, so blame him. I'll never forget. I'm not going to name names or teams. I will never forget there was a year where there was a player who I heard through very reliable channels was outright lobbying for playoff share, ring, everything else of a team that had cut him in January of that season.
Oh boy.
And the guy was lobbying. It happens, but look, Westbrook shouldn't want that. I don't think Westbrook would want that from the Lakers, given how sour his time there was. And if the Lakers do win it all, the best thing that Westbrook had provided them is being the guy they could trade to get, Jared Vanderbilt and everybody, and D'Angelo Russell and the rest, Malik Beasley. So no, that's a stretch for those guys to want to claim a piece of the success or for the Lakers to reward it. It's not the same as a guy is with you. I think this happened. Who am I thinking of? Might have been Caron Butler with the Mavericks the year they won the championship. But there are instances where a guy's with the team, gets hurt, can't play the rest of the year, but he's still part of the team, right? And is in the locker room and is on the bench and is part of the broader team fabric. But not a guy who was traded or cut. So
and also was had a terrible time there by all accounts. Who would want that bad memory? Howard Beck joining us. Okay, last one for you from me, Howard, and thanks for the time today on this Friday afternoon. I'm kind of less interested in who takes the Bucks job than I am on what happens with Giannis over the next few years. Like, from what I understand, he's got 2 more years left on his contract, but they can give him a contract extension in the fall. If he does not take that contract extension, are we all just like on Giannis watch to see whether or not he switches teams? Like, how important, I guess, is this hire if they're going to try to keep Giannis?
Well, I think what they do with the coach is less important than what they do with everything else. Talent wins in this league. And it's not that they don't have talent, but they have older talent. And you could see even the year they won the championship a couple of years ago that somewhere out on the horizon they were going to have some issues because this is an older team. And I think it might even be the oldest roster in the NBA. But, you know, Brook Lopez is in his mid-30s and is a free agent who's going to want to get paid again and should be because he's been phenomenal for them. And Drew Holiday's in his mid-30s and Chris Middleton's entering his mid-30s and also can opt out and become a free agent. But they've gotten a little too old and creaky, and Middleton missed a lot of games this year. I think he only played like 30-something. So, you know, they've got roster issues, and you know, I'm not saying one way or the other about whether Budenholzer replacing him is the right move, whatever. Obviously you want a coach who's going to click with Giannis and who Giannis respects and all that. Like that's a given. But it's not the next coach that's going to matter the most in the foreseeable future. It's going to be, can they make this roster just a little bit younger and more athletic? Can they get a little deeper? And it's hard to do because of the usual stuff, salary cap, luxury tax, all these new wrinkles that have been put into the new CBA that are going to make it even harder for teams with high payrolls to keep adding talent. And so that's the thing to keep an eye on to me. And to answer your bigger question there, Maggie, yes, we should always keep an eye on every superstar in this league who may be entering some state of discontent because we are in an era where guys ask out all the time when things start to look bleak. And we were wondering that about Giannis a few years ago, and then they made the big trade for Drew Holiday. Giannis signed his extension, not coincidentally, a short time later, and they won the championship that season. And so, that's obviously what the Bucks are hoping to replicate is can they make the moves that reassure Giannis that he still has the ability to contend at a high level with that team. And if they lose that faith from him, then yeah, that's when you start to worry about the clock ticking on the next trade demand.
Howard Beck, NBA contributor for GQ Sports, the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks so much for the time, Howard. Appreciate it. Enjoy the basketball tonight and this weekend.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, I got some thoughts on this Giannis thing.
What about it? Well, save it.
Yeah, we got to go. We got to take a quick break. We've got a lot more coming back on the other side. Giannis, but also one person not in love with what the Packers are doing with their quarterback situation. This is sound you got to hear. We will do that in just a moment. You're listening and watching Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio, and youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff on this Friday afternoon. Got a lot to do. It's time to answer our Ask the Pros question of the day. It's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now, today's question comes from Michael Kurtz, sent us an email. He said, Mags and Pearl, what musical duo best compares metaphorically to you both? Okay, don't forget you can submit a question by going to cbssportsradio.com/askthepros or tweeting it at CBS Sports Radio using the hashtag AskThePros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. What musical duo best compares to us metaphorically? Sid and Nancy? I don't know. What do we got?
Well, does it have to be a male and a female?
I think
that,
so.
But I think that might make it a little easier for us to come up with an answer.
So he suggested Hall & Oates, Wham, and Simon and Garfunkel.
Well, I mean, we have a lot of Wham. We get compared. What did we have to do with Wham?
I don't know. Would have loved to have been George Michael. That seemed
who? Okay.
Hall & Oates could be you and me. We both like Hall & Oates.
You know what I'm a big fan of? Leather and Lace with Don Henley and Stevie Nicks.
All right.
Well, Wait, Captain and Tennille. I think we need to go Hall & Oates. Yeah, so my former coworker, Todd Fritz of the Dan Patrick Show, was a Hall & Oates super fan.
Is that right?
Oh, God. You'd ever heard him sing? On demand, can sing 60 different Hall & Oates songs. I got so annoyed by that. And one time I went to a Hall & Oates concert with my wife. It was a Hall & Oates sing Christmas songs.
Yeah.
They sing an hour of Christmas songs. The fans start booing, saying, play Kisses on My List and all the classics.
Yeah, Man-Eater and all that stuff.
So Hall gets up there and goes, okay, fine, we'll play the classics. Just like that. And they half-heartedly play 4 great songs.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know. And I'm like,
I can't go for that.
I know.
No,
Private Eyes?
Yeah, no can do. What about... A little. Now, I'm not saying that I stack up to this woman physically at all, but Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers, Diamonds in the Stream.
Yeah.
What's that called? Islands in the Stream?
Isles in the Stream. Yeah, that's old school. I like that one. Is there anything more modern?
I mean, could we be Outcast? Are we Andre 3000?
We definitely are not. You mean the most brilliant people in the country? No, I'm not seeing that one.
We're getting a little Brooks and Dunn. I don't know. Is that who we are? The White Stripes. Oh, man, this is tough.
Yeah, I mean, the White Stripes, though, she doesn't sing, really.
No.
Don't Give Up with Peter Gabriel and Kate Bush. Remember that song? Got a little second life when Kate Bush became popular again.
Wait, what about Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins? Genesis.
No,
I think there was a third guy, wasn't there?
But Peter Gabriel was the lead singer, but Phil Collins was just a bit part back then.
Right.
I think.
Are we going? Are we Simon and Garfunkel?
Oh, how about this? I got it. This one, I got it.
What?
One of them is a gigantic Philadelphia Eagles fan. Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga singing "Shallow."
Okay.
I mean, I get confused with Bradley Cooper once in a while.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Wait, what are you guys laughing at?
Wait, was Steely Dan just 2 people? Steely Dan's great.
Actually, really?
Yeah, Steely Dan's awesome. Asia, that's such a great album.
No,
hit after hit after hit.
Steely Dan, yeah, not my kind of music.
I'm seeing a little Sonny and Cher.
Well,
I mean, that actually is kind of you and me. You know? We're kind of happy. We could have had
a
little talk show in the 70s.
I feel like Cher definitely carried Sonny, though, so I'm not totally comfortable
I don't know if that's true.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Cher is still gigantically huge.
Who else are we seeing here? I mean, Ike and Tina, guys. Come on. Like, you can't do that.
No.
Please
Paul and Linda McCartney?
Donnie and Marie? Do we give off a brother-sister vibe?
Not that kind of brother.
Yeah, actually, I realized, I'm like, I don't know if I know the whole story there.
Yeah, they're Mormons, right? Or I don't know.
They're saying that Hall & Oates is from Philly.
Yeah, I know that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm well versed on Hall & Oates. Okay.
Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings. That's a little more for the chat. Willie Nelson as opposed to me and Perloff.
Keith Richards and Mick Jagger?
Yeah, but they're a duo, but it's like the Rolling Stones. There's more people in the band.
Yeah, and also I'm not sure we quite compare to them anyway.
No.
We need to go down a few notches. Yeah, we're
all right, we got nothing.
We're gonna work on this. I think Steely Dan. Yeah, I'm looking at them on this duet list. Do they sing that song? I heard the song the other day in the convenience store where I like pina coladas. You know that song?
If you like pina coladas getting caught in the rain?
Yes.
No, that's Margaritaville. Who's that?
No, it's not Jimmy Buffett.
It is Jimmy Buffett. If you like pina coladas getting caught in the rain, I believe is Jimmy Buffett.
I think we're both wrong.
Someone's probably shouting at us. People are shouting at us in the car.
Yeah.
It's not Jimmy Buffett?
It's by Rupert Holmes. Anyway, that song, if you like pina coladas, we all know that. So it's about a guy who's unhappy in his relationship and puts out a personal ad. And then this woman answers it, and then she likes all the same things.
Yeah, and it turns out
it's his current girlfriend, right?
It's his wife, yeah.
Oh, wife, right. Yeah. So does this strike you as amoral, and this is not a happy ending to the song?
Listen, the advice duck left the building an hour ago.
But that's ridiculous. So he could get away with it, and they're just like, oh, my God, you like pina coladas too? And we were both trying to cheat on each other with somebody like ourselves? You could never get away with that. If your husband put out a personal ad and found you,
I know, but if I was
him?
Also responding to the personal ad, it takes 2 to tango. Everything's forgiven. You do love each other. You found your way back to each other. It's a great love story.
Just because you both like dunes and doing something in the rain. I can't remember the lyrics. I find that is one of the most amoral songs. I think it's about time people...
I think you might just be anti-pina colada. Are you not a pineapple guy?
No, I love...
coconut?
I do like pina coladas.
Okay. Getting caught in the rain.
Yeah, I do like getting caught in the rain. Yeah, I mean, I get virgin coladas now, but they are delicious. My daughters order them all the time. I'm always like, can I have a sip? And then I drink about half of it.
It's like drinking suntan lotion. I don't know how you guys do that. Okay, let's get to some football, shall we?
It's a good transition.
Thank you. Pina coladas, are they drinking those in Green Bay? That's what we want to talk about, the Green Bay quarterback situation. Not Aaron Rodgers, the current Green Bay quarterback situation. So when Jordan Love signed his new deal, essentially they reached an agreement for... He's got this year on his deal, then a 1-year contract extension. Signed a deal, about $13.5 million in guarantees for now. And Eric Mangini, not a fan.
I don't love what it says about the way they feel about him, because if they're not willing to go ahead and make the $20 million commitment with a 5th-year option, and they're hedging, how much confidence could they have? And I don't love what it says about his confidence. Why wouldn't he say, no, I'm not going to take this, and I'm going to make you either give me the 5th-year option or play it out like Daniel Jones?
Should either side be criticized here, Perloff? Do you think that it shows that, the Packers are not all in, and what kind of message maybe does that send to the locker room? Like, hey, we just moved on from Aaron Rodgers. We want you to believe in Jordan Love, but we don't even think he's maybe worth, picking up the $20 million option in year 5. And you think it was bad for Jordan Love not maybe betting on himself?
Well... See, I think I'm generally conservative by nature.
Yeah.
I would have taken the guaranteed $13.5 million because there's a great chance Jordan Love, who's getting paid, $2 million?
Yeah.
What if he didn't hit this year, and then he'd end up never making that money?
I know, but athletes aren't like you and me, all of them. Some of them are, but some of them are not. And, the idea that you could go into this season, yes, you're making $2 million, but if you have a good season, you're looking at who knows what your ceiling could be. I mean, Daniel Jones just got $90 million guaranteed, and he didn't even have a great season.
So, I mean, listen, he'll at least get $13 million compared to 2. He's going to get 22.5 over the next 2 years. That's already it's the exact same thing as a 5th-year option. So it's really not that big a loss for Jordan Love. I don't know what's the big down risk here. That he could sign, if he has a really good year or 2, I'm sure they're going to want to extend him. So he'll get that big contract, but at least he has something to fall back on. Could you see him going out there and struggling and then never getting any money in his whole career?
I mean, do you think that the Packers are going to be that quick to move on from him? Like, if he struggles in year 1, is that it? He's gone?
In next year's draft class, yes. Oh my gosh, they're going to be all over this draft class. They're like remember you actually said that about the Eagles last year. Hey, they're gearing up with 2 draft picks.
Well, that's what I thought before Jalen Hurts took them to the Super Bowl.
You and a lot of people, I thought so too. They were hedging their bets. Yeah, I think the Packers are well aware of that quarterback
class.
Why
do you think Mangini said this? I mean, he did say that it's the message you're sending to the locker room from the team side, like that maybe you're not all in on Jordan Love.
Why would you be all in on Jordan Love? He's started 10 games.
Well, you jettisoned Aaron Rodgers out of town. That's why you got to be all in on Jordan Love. I mean,
all in, like give him like $80 million or something?
No, but you could have picked up the 5th-year option with the $20 million. It just seems like, I don't know.
Well, I think
you watched him in the building for 3 years.
They didn't want. I don't think they wanted to do that to the player. I read somewhere that they didn't want to have Jordan Love out there with just getting paid $2 million. That wouldn't seem fair to the quarterback.
No, but they could have picked up the 5th-year option and paid him $20. $2 million and then $20.
But they weren't going to do that. They weren't going to pick up that. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was a compromise. Is this any different than picking up the 5th-year option at the end of the day?
Well, it depends. I mean, I had seen that it was $13.5 million guaranteed. It was kind of like splitting the difference. It was just kind of like a meeting in the middle of the two.
I mean, listen, have you heard anybody in Green Bay or anybody nationally? He's on an island with this stake. I've heard everybody weigh in on this. You can't possibly fully commit to Jordan Love. That wouldn't make any sense, right?
Well, that's the thing, though. If you're not going to fully commit to Love, then why did you run Rodgers out of town? You still had him under contract. You could have kept him. I know he was coming off of a down year, and I know EJ wouldn't have had him on his Jets, so he'd be upset. But if you are not all sure about Jordan Love, then why not just keep Rodgers?
But it's time to try out Jordan Love. This was your last chance. Otherwise, you would have gotten nothing out of that first-round pick. If you'd kept Rodgers for one more year, he's turning 40 in the middle of this year. Then, I mean, if you kept him for one more year, what's the point? You never get to see Love before he's out of town? I mean, you got to try out Love at some point, right?
Well, you could have picked up the 5th-year option, and you would have had Rodgers for 1 year, and then you would have Love for $20 million, which is not much for a quarterback.
I think they're smart. I think they're trying out right now. They're determining their future quarterback. Why wait? Was Rodgers winning a Super Bowl there? No. I don't think so. That team is young.
I don't know. Suddenly the Jets are a young team, and they feel like they can win a Super Bowl.
Before you move on, do you think that either side made a mistake here with this deal?
No, not a mistake. I just think it's interesting to hear from someone on the inside saying what kind of, that it kind of shows like a little bit of a lack of confidence from the Packers side and maybe a little bit of lack of confidence from the player side as well. That they're not sure how this thing is going to turn out.
I mean, that's so obvious to me that, if you were Jordan Love, of course you're doing this deal. You had no choice. You got to take someone. You can't go out there and play an NFL season for $2 million.
Okay, but you also have a little bit of leverage because I would say the Packers, like, who else? Like, that's the thing. Some players do that. If you're not going to pick up the fifth-year options, like, all right, well, I don't have to negotiate with you. I can play this year in a contract year, essentially, and then if I play well, I'm cashing in.
Like, who has ever done that? Like, everybody wants them to pick up the fifth-year option, and it's,
Well, if you want to be the most extreme example of this was, like, Joe Flacco, who bet on himself and in a contract year won a Super Bowl and became Super Bowl MVP. I don't know if that's going to happen to Jordan Love, but you do have guys who bet on themselves.
Flacco had already gotten some money. Like I think Jordan Love's only made $4 or $5 million in his career. He's got to get some money.
No, he was a first-round draft pick. He's made more than $4 million.
I think, doesn't that all, so he's a 26 pick. Doesn't that all hit in the fourth and fifth year?
I think you get a signing bonus your first year. That's pretty nice. 855-212-4CBS. David is in Arizona. David, what's up? Hello, David. David, what do you got?
I was listening to you talk about the Rupert Murdoch song, the Pina Colada song.
Wait, Rupert Murdoch?
Rupert Holmes.
Rupert Holmes. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm thinking.
Fox is singing Pina Coladas getting caught in the rain.
He probably is the one that's looking at those ads right now. But needless to say, we were just listening to the lyrics the other day, and it blew my mind that he's not the one who wrote the ad. He was looking through the ad.
Oh, okay.
And it was his wife who wrote the ad.
Interesting. Now, the reason why we're talking about this is because Ask the Pros question of the day, the ATP, was what duo do Perloff and I compare to, like, metaphorically? And somehow we got on Pina Coladas Getting Caught in the Rain song. So you think it was the wife wrote the ad?
Yes. When we broke down the lyrics, we were listening to it because I wasn't sure that I heard it correctly because I had always thought it was him that wrote the lyrics or wrote the ad.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It was her that wrote the ad. He was simply responding to an ad that he read. So she already was feeling what he felt prior.
Crazy, David. Thank you. Stars aligned that you just happened to be listening to that song and then listening to our show. By the way, Jimmy Buffett did cover Pina Colada, if you like Pina Coladas. He did.
Yeah, I'd admit the E on that one.
What?
I'll admit that I thought it was maybe Steely Dan.
It was Rupert Holmes, but Jimmy Buffett definitely covered it.
Okay.
I feel like he has the most famous version.
Oh, dear God, no. It's definitely the version I heard the other day in the convenience store was not Jimmy Buffett.
Okay. Also, I guess the song's actually or Rupert Murdoch. As he's I was going to make a Dominion joke there, but that's not there. The song's called Escape, by the way. It's just known as the Pina Colada song. Ak, you a fan of that song?
Of course, who isn't?
Yeah.
Did you think it was Jimmy Buffett?
No.
Did you think it was Steely Dan?
No, definitely not.
Definitely not.
Jimmy Buffett, I'm sure, has done it live. Why not? Why wouldn't you? It's right up his alley.
Yeah.
Did you know that the wife wrote the personal ad?
No.
Did Rupert Holmes ever sing anything else of note? Was he a one-hit wonder?
Probably so.
I think so, but
I don't know of anything else.
I think we properly got to the bottom of that topic.
That's a famous song, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's sort of an iconic song.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I don't think it's inappropriate.
Grocery stores all around America.
Yeah, dude, have you ever heard it in a grocery store? I hear it in grocery stores all the time.
No doubt.
I'm like, why are they pumping through this thing about leaving your wife in a grocery store?
Maybe
what happened to marriage as an institution?
Well, he did win 2 Tony Awards, according to Wikipedia.
Really? For what?
So,
Pina Colada, the Broadway show?
He is known for his musicals, The Mystery of Edwin Drood.
Oh, yeah.
And
That's a
his
good one.
television series, Remember When. His real name is David Goldstein. Who knew?
Why do you go with Rupert Holmes?
I have no idea.
Okay. 855-212-4CBS. Now we got more questions now with the segment. We were ending on a fine note. Now I need to know more. 855-212-4227. Okay, a lot more to do here, including previewing for tonight. Got some big games on the docket, big games this weekend. We do it all after this CBS Sports Update with Rich Ackerman.
Phoenix Suns went all in when they acquired Kevin Durant. The initial returns were impressive, but they are now down 2-0 as they get ready to host Denver tonight. Durant has been through many playoff battles before and isn't concerned.
A lot of times I'm playing a mental game, so usually when I miss shots or struggle to shoot the ball, it's an approach thing. It's I'm approaching the game where there's spots on the floor where I need to be aggressive from. So it's all about surveying the game and seeing where I fit.
The Suns will be without point guard Chris Paul tonight due to a groin injury. First game of the night features the Celtics and Sixers in Philly, with that series even at 1. After starring in Oral Roberts, Max Abmas headed to Texas. The Hurricanes host the Devils in the only game in the Stanley Cup playoffs tonight. Carolina won easily in Game 1. The Rays look to equal the best start in baseball since 1984 when the Tigers went 27-6. Tampa is a win shy of that mark and will host the Yankees tonight at Wrigley Field. Today was the Cubs over the Marlins by a score of 4-1. I'm Rich Ackerman.
CBS Sports Radio is everywhere, at home, in your car, and of course on your phone and tablet. Find us on your local affiliate, SiriusXM Channel 158, or the free Odyssey app.
CBS Sports Radio.
5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff.
What a terrible lyric to start a song with. I was tired of my lady.
Happy Mother's Day.
So romantic.
We will get back to your thoughts on Rupert Holmes. The reason why we started talking about music and this song at all. Someone asked us what musical duo would Perloff and I compare ourselves to, like metaphorically. I'll tell you what, we were watching some Rupert Holmes videos in the break. That dude is a solo act. That is not a duo. You can't touch that kind of those good vibes on the stage.
Yeah, he definitely had like a bit of a Dan Fogelberg vibe to him, you know, like late 70s, not really rock and roll. But if your husband called you my lady, would you automatically be in trouble?
No, this is a different time.
Oh my gosh, I was tired of my lady. Oh boy.
This is extremely 70s. We will get back to that in just a moment, but first, go to the phones at 855-212-4CBS. Josh is in Portland, Oregon, wants to get in our conversation about Jordan Love for the Packers. Eric Mangini, the former Jets and Browns coach, was critical of the contract that he signed, said it didn't show a lot of faith from the Packers side, and it didn't show a lot of confidence in himself from Jordan Love's side. Josh, what do you have?
So, first off, guys, love your show. Absolutely love your show. Super appreciate the laughs you give me usually on my drive home every day. So just wanted to get that out of the way. Maggie, I got to tell you, I totally agree with Perloff here, and here's why.
Okay.
The Packers have to find out what they have in Jordan Love this year, because if they don't have anything, there's a really high likelihood that the Packers are not going to have a good season. And why is that important? Because now they're going to have the Jets pick next year. They're going to have their own draft pick next year. That pick is going to probably be a high pick, which positions them to take one of the top quarterbacks in that 2024 draft class. And then even if it's a year before that guy's ready to go, they still have Jordan Love on the books for 1 year as a transitional year. So I think that this is the Packers hedging their bet that and leaving the possibility open he may not be the guy, and if he's not, they can then move on to the next guy quickly.
Totally get it. It's an absolute hedge. That was part of what I think Mangini was actually critical of, but I get that, Josh. You laid it out perfectly. It is a hedge. I guess the one thing is if you really aren't sure what you have in Love still, right? You've seen him in the building for 3 years, started a couple of games, but if you're still not exactly sure, just let him play out this year. You could pay him $2 million, and then if you really are bad, you're getting a high pick. And if you need a transition quarterback, you can get you could have Baker Mayfield, you could have Andy Dalton, you can have somebody who can ease a rookie in. You don't have to do anything.
Wait. So I don't understand. If he plays well and you had him on the thing, then
No, he's saying if he doesn't play well. Like, if you're not sure, why not just have him finish out the fourth year where you're paying him $2 million?
Because then you might have to pay him $45 million next year.
Well, if he's really that good, you're going to end up paying him $45 million anyway.
Right. I actually read, and I believe this, that they didn't want him to go out there and play for $2 million this year. Like, that was just not. They thought that was an uncomfortable position for the player to be in.
Well,
Maybe they were doing him a favor.
The Packers are usually kind of cutthroat, Like, they're I think, a pretty well-run business here. They were definitely, I don't know. Now, all of a sudden, like, we're giving out, Lifetime Achievement Award
It's funny. It just struck me as such a non-controversial deal with Jordan Love. It felt like the perfect middle road to me. But, I understand the logic, but they're going to be fine. Because I'm telling you right now, Jordan Love's going to be a star. Booking it right here. Love that dude.
Your claim. Just want to note, the last person you said was going to be a star is Trey Lance, but we still don't know about Trey Lance. You've moved your bandwagon from Trey Lance to Jordan Love.
I was a big Jalen Hurts is going to be a star.
Yeah, you were.
When they were 9-8 at the Eagles, everyone's, Trey Lance. Did I say he was going to be a star, or did I say he was going to be drafted high? Actually, you know what? I thought he was going to be a star.
I think he still thinks he is.
He's only 22. Okay. Anyway, moving on.
Let's get to our shot of the day.
He shoots!
The shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos is brought to you by those who drink it. And because it is Cinco de Mayo, happy Cinco de Mayo. Maybe a little bit more tequila being imbibed today. And hope everybody's having a great holiday. Okay. Today's shot of the day comes from our conversation with Ryan Wilson, CBS Sports NFL draft analyst, who basically let us know that the former general manager of the Vikings, Rick Spielman, has been committing a major faux pas for almost 30 years.
My co-host Rick Spielman asked me this, and I thought the answer was obvious, but I'll run it by you real quick. As a husband, do you have to get your wife a Mother's Day gift?
What? Are you kidding me? 100%.
Did Rick say no?
That's the most important present that you're going to give on Mother's Day, if your wife is a mother.
Yeah.
Right. I said, Rick, what's the confusion here? And this is why your wife has you on the road a lot, because you stay in the house. Because he's been married longer than I have. I said, that's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard anyone say out loud.
Say hi to Rick for us. We're just happy that Rick's alive, because if he hasn't been getting his wife a Mother's Day gift for all these years, he's lucky to be on this earth. There you go. That's our shot of the day.
Yeah, next time we talk to Rick Spielman, we're going to have to educate him.
Yeah, get to the bottom of this. Looking forward to a big margarita later, so thank you so much to everyone at Casamigos. Quickly, let's go to Nebby, who's in Pennsylvania. Has got more insight on Rupert Holmes, who's saying, if you like pina coladas getting caught in the rain, which has now become maybe the anthem of the Maggie and Perloff show. What do you have, Nebby?
Rupert Holmes did have one other hit. It was called Him. And as things play out, there's a theme here. It's about his wife cheating and him catching her, and it's like him. What you going to do about him? So he had that.
This was 30 years before calling somebody him became a thing.
I was going to say, it's like Jimmy Buckets, like for Jimmy Butler.
40 years before.
Everything's cyclical.
And I think I have a great musical pairing for you too.
Oh, what do you got for us?
Elton John and Kiki D. Perloff with the glasses. You with the hoop earrings. Don't go breaking my heart. It's fun. It's live. It's
you know what, Nebby, you've just given us an idea. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. You've given us an idea. We're trying to get to 1,000 new YouTube subscribers. And if we do, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, we're going to destroy the Carson Wentz poster that is sitting behind Perloff. What if we dressed up like Elton John and Kiki? Do you think more people would tune in and then subscribe, and then we could be on our way to burning this poster on our live stream?
I mean, I'm happy to dress up like Elton John, but who's Kiki?
That's the other person.
I've never heard of this person until he just
That's the duet, you know?
Don't go breaking my heart. I never knew who the other person was.
Yeah, I didn't either. But we're going to do a little research. We're going to get to the bottom of it. Thank you to Stu Kovacs. Thank you to EJ Stewart. Thank you so much to Ryan Wilson, to Howard Beck, to the Weedos and the Purple Drinkers. You always have our heart. To the callers, you guys are the best. We will see you Monday. Happy Cinco de Mayo, everyone.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining.